Traditional aerosols contain a lot of water, which eventually falls down and spoils the experience. Introducing Airwick Pure with 9 times more fragrance and no added water. So you can experience great fragrance with no wet spray. Airwick Pure, just fragrance, no wet spray.
Well, we're back with the centenary year of Nelson Mandela and the Nelson Mandela Day Marathon as we go back to the leader in the men's race, Tshepang Ramonene, and we were just talking about the feeling of deja vu we're having at the moment, because 2 years ago Ramonene did exactly the same thing as he's doing now. He went out quite fast, and in fact in the ladies race at that Selam Lebachu did the same thing as well, and the two of them are leading again. And we kept saying Ramonene is going out too fast, and can he maintain this? And he did. Right to the end, he ran 2 hours 29 minutes and 7 seconds 2 years ago to win this race. And at the 24-kilometer mark, it looks like Ramonene is trying the exact same tactics. And again, the question is, can he maintain it, or is he going to be caught?
Yeah, Ramonene, it's a bit like Russian roulette with Ramonene. If we remember, in the 2015 World Marathon Championships, he shot out just after the 25-kilometer mark, led the race, still 6 Ks to go, leading the best runners in the world, and eventually exploded towards the end and finished around 12th position. In the London Olympics 2012, he finished dead last, but he showed the true Olympic spirit by finishing that race. And earlier this year in the Commonwealth Games, he was coming 3rd, so he was in the bronze medal position with 4 kilometers to go, and all of a sudden stopped on the side of the road and actually didn't finish. So when he's hot, but when he's hot, sometimes he gets cold as well.
But at the moment, if you look at back, you don't see anybody anywhere close to him, Alec, and he certainly seems to be running well at this stage, but of course still a long way to go.
Yeah, probably 150 meters behind. There's some opposition lurking. I think one of the problems you have in marathon running, when you're running a flat marathon, you know exactly the pace that you can handle and so forth, and the red line is hardly transgressed with these experienced athletes. When you run a course like that, and you see the two athletes coming up now, probably closer to about 100 meters, but when you run a course like this, you're not so in control of, you know, it's difficult to understand the pace that you're running, the heart rate is jumping up and down and so forth. So the red line is transgressed a few times. You know, runners parlance, we know what crossing that red line can do, and you stay above that, you burn just 1 or 2 too many matches, everything just goes, and suddenly the wheels come off, like we saw with Alabachu last year, like we've seen with Ramonene and some of the top international marathons. But he's an experienced campaigner now. Hopefully he knows what he's got in his body, he knows what he's capable of. Remember, he grew up and he trains in Lesotho, lots of hills. He's used to the hills, not only the uphills. To run a really good race here, you need to be strong in the quads for the downhills, because there's an exceptional amount of muscle breakdown.
Well, you're talking about that muscle breakdown, and I mean, you will know any race, and you've seen this so many times in so many races, and Ramonene might be a very good example of that, where you feel good, everything's going well, and then suddenly it's not. And you don't really know why, and it's just not your day. And on a different day, you're awesome and you run well. And the one guy who that never seems to happen to is Eliud Kipchoge, who's just awesome every time he runs. But the top runners in the world, each one of them experiences an off day, and you just don't know when it's going to hit you. It's normally 35 kilometers into a marathon, suddenly the legs fall off, and it comes out of nowhere almost.
Yeah, just to mention about running out of fuel, it's almost like a car that doesn't have a reserve tank. There's no warning sign, it just goes. But Kuhn, you know Eliud Kipchoge, you're a great fan, Mr. Consistency.
Yeah, definitely, and you know that Eliud is struggling when you see the smile on his face. He's gone on record saying that when he feels pain, he just smiles and things just get better for him. But as you say, that eventually there is going to be a race when Eliud Kipchoge, that match lights and it just ignites, and he's not going to be able to perform. But so far, touch wood, we haven't seen that happen. But again, that goes back to the planning. He plans specifically, he trains everything into one specific race, and it's not so much as a tatama chance here and a tatama chance there at different races. But Ramonene, as we mentioned earlier, with the whole brothers in Lesotho, he also has a twin brother, Tshepang Ramonene, who's also a great athlete himself, also a sub 2 hour 20-minute marathon runner, and perhaps he's out on the course today helping his brother. But Ramonene at this stage, definitely, as you say, on almost reminiscent of 2 years ago.
Wel, definitief, as kyk na die beeld daar van Ramonene en Alebachu, twee atlete wat voorgehardloop het 2 jaar gelede en hier hardloop hulle weer voor in die Nelson Mandela Day Marathon. En op die oomblik lyk Ramonene baie goed, so ook Alebachu, maar daar is goeie atlete agter hulle, veral in die manswedloop met Ramonene. En ons het nou ook daar gepraat, baie van die atlete in die wedloop het reeds van tevore hierdie wedloop gehardloop en gewen of in die top 10 geëindig, so hulle verstaan die bult, hulle weet wat voor lê en hulle weet om die pas te handhaaf in hierdie wedloop. And Alec, that's exactly what you're saying. I mean, a flat race, it might seem easier, but the guys running here, they've done this before. They know the hills, they know the routes. Their pace judgments should be spot on by this stage. I mean, anybody in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah. Also remember what we heard from Craig Fry on the road. He said that blistering pace up Struggle Hill, that the guys really went out hard. So it also depends on your opposition. In the flatter marathons, usually as pace setters, it's more controlled, whereas here we're finding that athletes go out and they force the hand of their opposition. So you get taken perhaps a little bit out of your comfort zone, you're forced to go a bit harder, a bit sooner, and you get sucked into perhaps a trap, and then it can all go pear-shaped. But also remember, what's also very important is nutrition. So for some of these athletes, you just miss a water bottle, or I don't say water because it's very often a glycogen or carbohydrate drink. You miss that, and that can also lead to a little bit of a drop in performance.
Well, certainly. I mean, it's the nutritional aspect of it, it's the mental aspect of it. If you miss a bottle, some athletes can handle it. Some can say, I've missed the bottle, I can handle it, and mentally they stay strong. Some others will say, I've missed the bottle, it's the end of my race. So not just from a physical aspect, those things become issues, but from a mental aspect. And it's the same thing with we talk about athletes trying to break each other, pushing at some stage, trying to break the guy next to you, pushing him across that red line. And the mental aspect becomes really, really important in a race like this. And we'll certainly pick up this conversation after the break.
I have noted with deep gratitude the generous praise that has often been given to me as an individual. But let me state this. To the extent that I have been able to achieve anything, I know that this is because I am the product of the people of South Africa.
Suffer from many different types of pain. Nurofen knows this, which is why it targets the source of your pain and works with your body to provide relief for up to 8 hours. Ask your pharmacist about Nurofen for targeted relief from pain for up to 8 hours.
Coming up to Johannesburg for holidays and then walking around the foyer of the SABC, just taking it all in and saying, hey, one day this will be me. And then breaking into the industry and getting so much love and appreciation for what I do from you, because you make it possible by paying your TV licenses, so I can speak and I can do the thing that makes me happy.
How'd you hurt your back?
I was mountain biking.
Whether you hurt your back working up a sweat or elsewhere, Transact will sort it out for up to 12 hours. Transact, for however you hurt your back.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's, while stocks last.
Heartburn and indigestion can be tricky if you eat too much or food that's too spicy or greasy. They could always be around the corner. When they come, be prepared with Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 2 times longer than antacids. Gaviscon Double Action. Many causes, one solution.
Mum, I'm growing up now. Then can I carry my own bag?
Nothing makes a mother prouder than to see her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to help herself and others, she'll face even more dirt, germs, and the risk of illness.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection, because Dettol cleans and protects your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Let me hear you roar. This is the perfect spot.
The buildup of phlegm can cause congestion and a cough. Use ACC 200 to quickly break down phlegm and clear congestion to breathe easily again. ACC 200, fight phlegm and find your roar again.
Live coverage continues of this 2018 Mandela Day Marathon, 7th edition of this marathon, a tribute to the triumph of the human spirit. Indeed, the theme is very much keep running the legacy. It is a celebration of Nelson Mandela on in the centenary year of his birth, a race that is mainly organised jointly by KwaZulu-Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Umgungundlovu District Municipality and KwaZulu-Natal Athletics. We rejoin the race with the men's leader. And at the moment, Tshepo Ramonene is looking rather strong. Kieran Walker was talking about some of the heroics of Tshepo Ramonene and some of the times that he's gone out perhaps a little too quickly and found himself wanting in the closing stages of races, and he did that as well at the 2012 London Olympic Games, where it was sad to watch him, but he, in the true Olympic spirit, did manage to finish a race that he tried to take by the scruff of the neck. He finished about, well, it was nearly an hour behind the eventual winner of the race in 2012, but he crossed the finish line, and that is what's most important in the spirit of the Olympic Games, more the taking part than the winning. But he's not completely broken away from a few of the Ethiopian contenders. Dinke Yunesu Tefere, the defending champion, they're among those chasing Tshepo Ramonene, but at the moment he finds himself leading the marathon, and surely now it must be 27, 28 kilometers into the race, Ali?
Yeah, I would think so. 1 hour 36 into the race, he'll probably be round about that 27 kilometer mark, as you mentioned. And we're not sure who the chasing pack of three is. We think it's three athletes there. It could be the Ethiopian trio, Dinke, and of course last year's winner, Teferu, and of course the other Ethiopian Yunero, the guy who's got the fastest time in one of the fastest times in the field, 2:11, and of course a double Soweto marathon winner. So some classy Ethiopians, and then we've also got 5 Kenyans. So we've got a Lesotho athlete leading. We've got 3 Ethiopians in the field. We've got Mabatili Lobopo of Lesotho and 5 Kenyans. We're not sure where the South Africans are, but just amongst the Kenyans, of course, we've got the 2 Oceans winner, Justin Chesiri. And just to give you an idea, or the listeners and viewers, an idea of the depth of running in a country like Kenya. So last year, Chesiri ran a marathon in Kenya, in Nairobi, in 2 hours 21. It's at altitude, so you'd think, well, that's absolutely fantastic. But he finished 39th. The quality of the field there. He once ran a 29-minute 10K and finished 57th. So any talent that comes out of Kenya has to be respected. And strangely enough, we're not really seeing them up front in this particular race. Maybe they're too fast for a course like this.
Definitely. I mean, Amelie was one hopeful who started in the field, but again, as you said, he fell off, and you see the Lesotho guy leading. But mine is, an interest, a particular interest is in the Ethiopians, because they seem to be dominating this race year after year. Last year, first position was Ethiopian, third position was Ethiopian, and with women's race, Alabachu coming second. So they know this course very well, and it looks like they plan. When it comes to their running, they plan. They don't just do all the races. So I think that is also something that needs to be considered, and something that probably helps them in that they don't run every race, such that when they get to a particular race, then they are, they're tired, their body is tired and cannot deliver.
But once again, just to add on to that, the Ethiopian relationship with South Africa, and Nelson Mandela in particular, bear in mind Ethiopia views Nelson Mandela as a struggle icon in their own country, is very much one of their own. The fact that he had an Ethiopian passport under the name David Mutsamai, the fact that he visited Ethiopia after he was released from prison. He went to open the Organization of African Union shortly after he was released from prison in South Africa in 1990, and his standing in Ethiopia is one of immense importance. It certainly is celebrated in Ethiopia almost as he is celebrated in South Africa. Triumph of the human spirit certainly sums up the Mandela Day Marathon and some of the principles and ideals that Nelson Mandela stood for. But the Ethiopian athletes, it means a great deal of them to run this race, to come to South Africa and to win this race, and certainly Alabachu is living up to that in the women's race. She's on the right of your screen currently, but Lesotho's Tsepo Ramanene is taking on 3 Ethiopian athletes, and he looks to be at the moment duking it out with them on the course, and it looks at the moment like he's dropped the people off his shoulder just a little. Alec, there's a few hills about, and he does seem to be gaining a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that gap, and I mean, look at this. I mean, he's doing a few surges and fartleks, then he's running on the grass. Yeah, it's really thing. Although the way he keeps going onto the grass now, it tells me that he's either looking for a little bit of cushioning, but he definitely was throwing a bit of a surge there, so quite surprising. But you mentioned the Ethiopians, and I remember once listening to Haile Gebrselassie speak so highly of Nelson Mandela. But right now on the right of your screen is the Ethiopian Alabachu, fantastic runner, as I mentioned earlier, gold medal in the 2 Oceans earlier this year. She's got on the podium at Soweto, but this is the race that she has dominated, and obviously motivated by the legacy of Nelson Mandela.
And many, so as over 24,000 athletes that have registered, as you remember, for this year's marathon, making this year's edition the biggest. Now, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs would like to commend all athletes who heeded a call to participate in this year's marathon, which coincides with the centenary celebrations of the world icon and freedom fighter, Mama Albertina Sisulu. Now, talking about Mama Albertina Sisulu, I am proud to say that my original home actually is just 2 streets away from the Sisulu family, and I have some really fond memories of my childhood, because the crèche that I used to go to actually is opposite Mama Sisulu's house, and we used to go there for sweets. He was just the mother we knew, and every time after crèche we just used to run there and get some sweets. So those I really do have some fond memories of Mama Sisulu back then, and I had no idea who she was. She was just a mother that I used to run to get sweets.
Well, she unfortunately passed away in 2011, I think it was. Albertina Sisulu passed away. The wife, of course, of Walter Sisulu, and certainly an activist and in her own rights. But she would have been 100 on the 21st of October. In July, Madiba was celebrated as 100 years since his birth in Mvezo. Was certainly the anniversary of it, and it's in his name that we are running today. The 10-kilometre and 21-kilometre races have already concluded in terms of the winners. There are still some making their way toward the finish line in the respective races, but we're watching the leader now, the men's marathon. 374,000 Rand prize money overall, but 100,000 Rand for the winner of both the men's and women's events in this men's marathon. And we are with a leader who is looking over his shoulder at the moment, but that stride doesn't look to be one of a man who's struggling at the moment.
I certainly don't think he's struggling. I think this guy is a man running with immense confidence, but the difficulty is running in front. You don't know where your opposition is. It's perhaps a course where his mentors, coach, backup team can't get to him as often as they could on maybe a normal city marathon course. So he's probably not getting as much information as he would normally get. So every time he goes around a corner, he's having a look back. What's the gap like? Do I need to try and stretch it a little bit more? Because at this stage, we're probably reaching close to the 29, 30 kilometer mark. So, we're now getting to that area where the mind has to take over. It's now all about mental fortitude, because the first 30 kilometers for a really top-class marathoner is usually quite easy. It's when the muscle breakdown starts happening late in the race, 30, 32 kilometers, round about the 2-hour mark even, and then it gets tough, and you have to fight those negative thoughts. You have to fight the fatigue, the pain. You have to force your nerve, your heart, your sinew, everything, just to keep on pushing as hard as you can, focus as hard as you can. Look, there's a big reward if you can do that, and Ramaneni is showing us just how to go about it at the moment.
Just adding to that, Alec, at this point, that's where you also embrace pain, because that's where it really sets in. And if you go to any marathon, you really have to be prepared for that, because if it catches you at a time where you are not prepared, that's where all the negative thoughts flood you. And I'm looking at our lead man, and from what I see, I just see one man. Yes, he is, concerned about who is behind him, but he's come a long way, and that's exactly what should be going through his mind, that I've made it this far. I look behind me, there's absolutely nobody behind me. All I need to do is to imagine my legs being a bicycle that just keeps going and going and going.
I think what's important here, you mentioned embrace the pain, and it's one thing I've always said, make pain your ally and not your enemy.
Yeah.
And, very often you find some athletes will be fearful of pain. And if you can get an athlete from a young age to embrace pain and go looking for it and use it to your advantage over your opposition. You're in the pound seats now. Dwayne, you've commentated on many sports the world over, but what would you liken the pain of a marathon to in the other field of sports?
Yeah, I tell you, when it comes to the marathon, though, you really have to give it to a few athletes that give everything up. And of course, so often though we see athletes that are out in front that find themselves starting to just tire when they can go either way. When they get to that place where they've either hit the wall or they can push through the pain and carry on to a famous victory. We've seen something just snap. We want to talk more about that, but first we need to go to a quick break. When we come back, more coverage from the men's and women's elite fields of this Nelson Mandela Day Marathon.
For anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
When your nose is blocked, pressure starts to build, making your head feel heavy. Sounds like a head cold. Sinutab nasal spray unblocks your nose fast, relieving the pressure and clearing your head cold within 10 minutes and lasting up to 10 hours, so you can get back to normal. Sinutab clears your head.
When you want to look after your family's teeth, look out for Captain Aquafresh. With superhero protection. He helps care for your gums to keep them healthy. He strengthens enamel. He freshens your breath. He has the power of 3 stripes to look after your family's teeth. Aquafresh does it all in one, Mum.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's, while stocks last.
Suffering from back pain? Apply Voltaren ML Gel. Unlike heat rubs that work on the skin surface, Voltaren ML Gel is a clinically proven anti-inflammatory medicine which penetrates through the skin. It relieves pain, treats inflammation, and speeds healing. Voltaren ML Gel, the world's #1 medicated gel.
If I don't make it home from this, I want you to have my boots collection.
Mel, we're safe. We've got a guardian angel on call from First for Women.
At First for Women, we put you first. So when you get comprehensive car cover with us, you get a guardian angel on call that keeps you safe if you're in an accident. With our mobile crash detector that will send emergency medical assistance, an authorized tow truck, a lift to where you need to go, and more, all through our app. Always ready, just in case. For a quote, SMS first to 40355 and download our app.
So, a little bit of a run here for a few men who are looking for a little glory on this 26th of August, 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. It is, and for some it'll be an enjoyable outing, a good, clean run, trying to take on a course that is, well, it is notoriously tough, certainly in the first half of the race, but many of the athletes who are out on the course at the moment have got a little extra fatigue in the legs as they approach the line. Will it prove to be the difference? Certainly the leader in the men's race at the moment is on the left of your screen. Tshepo Ramonene of Lesotho is on the left of your screen. On the right of your screen, it looks to be the chasing group of men that includes Justin Cheshire, the Two Oceans winner of earlier this year. He was feeling good and wanting to go for a decent time. I don't think a record is going to be on the cards here, but certainly Justin Cheshire is in amongst the group, and Yenesu as well finds himself in that chasing group. So that's the shot on the right of your screen. On the left is the race leader currently of Lesotho, Tshepo Ramonene.
And with Cheshire is, we believe, Yenesu from Ethiopia, both quality athletes. You must remember that Cheshire won the Two Oceans. 56 kilometers is a guy who will get stronger as the race goes on. Ramonene is the speedster. Yenesu is the experienced and proverbial winner in South Africa. Of course, he's dominated Soweto. He came second the OR Tambo Marathon in 2016. Fantastic runner, 2:11:07 in the Paris Marathon. That, of course, is a marathon that Makusongi Fika made top 10 twice back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So Yenesu and Cheshire are the guys who are going to be trying to chase Ramonene down, and we could be in for a thrilling final 10 kilometers in the men's race.
It would be interesting to know the distance between the lead man and the chasing group, because then, you know, that's really what's going to define this race. And this race, we've always seen earlier on, Kewan mentioned that 5 kilometers, that's where we can actually make a prediction. And last year, well, even with just the last few meters to go, things can change drastically.
Well, it looks like Yenesu is starting to pull away. Just on the bottom right of your screen, Yenesu's finding himself with a little extra motivation, it seems. And Ramonene, if you look in the top block of your screen, Ramonene is in the lead, but Yenesu is the runner will be on the top the left of your top screen and your screen. This is all getting very confusing, but ultimately, yeah, Yenesu is, it looks to be, trying to chase down Ramonene. Yeah.
It's getting quite close now, and Ramonene is starting to look more and more over his shoulder. Initially, I thought it was perhaps just, you know, out of curiosity. I think now it's starting to become more a little bit out of concern. But besides Yenesu, who's made a breakaway from Cheshire and started to close this gap, yeah, I think we've probably got about 31 kilometers now or so. Maybe a little bit more. But what I did observe is, remember, there was a group of 3, and then there's quite a gap back to the 5th runner. That 5th runner, I'm not sure if it's Mabotile Lebopo from Lesotho who was coming through earlier, but he's made contact with that those 2 who Yenesu has left behind, and he could be a danger, whoever that runner is, starting to make his way through this field as well. So probably not more than 150, 200 meters between the top 5. We have a real race in our hands at the moment.
Definitely. And Alec, I want you to just notice, because one of the things that I always pay attention to is just the style of running of the, you know, how runners run. I'm looking at Yenesu. He's looking really, really strong. He's very solid, and you know, with Ramonene, it looks like he's starting to feel to the strain. He's wobbling, and lots of energy being wasted there. This race could definitely change drastically. And last year we saw the Ethiopians, they're very good at charging in the men's race. Right towards the end, they really go full on. At the beginning of the race, even to about 30 kilometers, they really preserve the energy, and they use the energy where it matters most.
Yeah, look, I think it's for Ramaneni, it's now about overcoming his doubts. You know, he's led many a race and the wheels have come off. So, you know, that sort of haunting feeling will come to him again. And it's about overcoming those doubts. It's about persevering. It's about pushing on. It's about blocking out those negative thoughts. Because to me, Ramaneni is definitely starting to tire. And if we look at the picture now, the gap is actually shortening, you know, sort of by the 100 meters. And here they're going to go through what is the 10 kilometer starting venue. So we now know we're in the 32 kilometer region. We're in the really tough realm. And but then again, Ramaneni, a top class competitor. Let's see exactly what happens. But Yenesu, you know, certainly chasing him down. So
at the Howick Sports Fields now, where leader Tsepo Ramanene is continuing to look over his shoulder, but Yenesu is making a hard chase. And was it last year's Soweto Marathon or the year before where Yenesu chased down Tsepo Ramanene? And perhaps we are starting to see the same thing play out.
Well, the guy I mentioned who was closing in those three behind, just behind Yenesu, looks like Mabotile Lopopo, who's now maybe taken Yenesu. So he is absolutely flying if that is the case, because and perhaps that's a concern to me. Not a concern that he can't do well, but if it is him, you know, he's really put the hammer down and closed perhaps a little bit too quickly. But that looks like Mabotile Lopopo in the second position. Certainly looks like his style. And I remember him from Max Africa days. We had a camp up at Halajoni near the Katsi Dam, and Mabotile Lopopo and his brother arrived. They heard there was a camp being held, and they said, "Can we join?" And we said, "Yes, sure you can." You know, we don't want to take any credit. He wasn't a great athlete then, but he went on to become one of the greatest athletes Lesotho's ever, you know, put forward. But Ramaneni starting to look tired now, looking for some water from one of the earlier runners.
This is Yenesu making his way through the grounds at Howick Sports Field. But indeed, it does look to be a fine run from Mabotile Lopopo as he's come through, having caught all those directly ahead of him, including Jashira, trio of Ethiopians, plus the likes of Yenesu and Ramanene. But I tell you, Ramanene does look to be in a spot of bother here. It's come down to a matter of mere meters, only a handful of seconds now, separating 1 from 2, and indeed 3 is not far behind either. So exciting times in the closing 10 kilometers of this race.
Exciting times for some of the runners, desperate times for the lead man Ramanene, because you know, at the rate at which he's going, he really can see that as he looks over his shoulder, you know, Yenesu is right on behind him, and he's looking strong. And if I was him, I would definitely be worried, because he is not looking at that strong at all.
I think what's also important is, you know, Mabotile Lopopo is 44. He's a classy athlete, no doubt. But your body reacts differently when you're 44 to when you're 34. We've also got to understand that he's had an adrenaline rush. He's come from 5th to 2nd, almost to take the lead. And we've got to wonder what it's going to be like when he takes the lead.
What is it like when you're running in front, Alec, and somebody comes past you, when they sometimes just give you a wink or a smile or a little tap on the shoulder, or in previous races, a little wave, or sometimes a word or two? An athlete can go one of two ways at that point, and it's about to happen.
Well, as long as not the Bruce Fordyce handshake, it's usually fine. I don't think we'll see a tap on the shoulder. I don't think we'll see you know, too much here. Although they're both Lesotho athletes, so they might say a quick word to one another. But these guys will be arch rivals. You know, they'll be friends off the field, but they'll be arch rivals, looking to beat each other. Ramaneni, you know, the champion-elect, the new youngster. I think Ramaneni is only probably about 27.
27, yeah.
Mabotile Lopopo, you know, when he was, you know, 30 years old, he was the dominant guy out of Lesotho. And here we've got a Lesotho 1-2. And don't expect Ramaneni just to throw in the towel. He's going to go with Lopopo, see how much firepower Lopopo still got in him. And of course, he's going to take heart from the fact that he knows Ramaneni, in his mind, is you know, a little bit older than him, and perhaps, you know, may fatigue.
Oh, this is turning out to be a very interesting time for Mabutile Lebopo. It's whether or not he's going to be able to hold on in the closing stages of this race. It certainly looks like he can extend his advantage over Ramonene, but Yinesu is also closing on Ramonene and won't be too far over the shoulder of these two athletes as they find themselves leading. Ramonene now just off the shoulder of Mabutile Lebopo, who currently leads the Mandela Day Marathon. We've got about 9 kilometers to go in this race of 2018, and it does seem as if we are going to have another victor in this race, but certainly there's plenty more in terms of competitors. Now, up in the very top right of the screen is a very famous body of water, the Bidmar Dam, and Alec Riddle, you might want to tell us a little bit about the triathlon, because it's very much part of the 2 day of festivities and activities that takes place as part of the Nelson Mandela Day Marathon.
Yeah, just very briefly, it's a big event on the triathlon calendar. Henry Schoeman has won this before. Of course, he's the Commonwealth Games champion, but this year it was JP Berger who won. I think he defended his title from last year. But the performance of the weekend for me was Amber Schlebusch in the sprint triathlon. She's 16 years old, turning 17 this year. She won overall. She beat the men. Glenn Gore second, her coach Justin Hand in 6th place. But a fantastic prospect. Watch out for her at the Youth Olympic Games. She got 2 podiums in the European Cups earlier this year, and she's from KwaZulu-Natal, a fantastic performer and a great prospect for South African triathlon.
Oh, it's just wonderful to see some of the youngsters that are coming through, and what an opportunity as well at the Youth Olympic Games in Argentina later this year. We're going to go to a quick break, but things have changed at the front of the Mandela Day Marathon in the men's elite field. Mabutile Lebopo has just overtaken Tsepo Ramonene in a battle of the Mosotho athletes up front.
Hi, I'm Lillian Dube. I'm a proud brand ambassador for Clientele. I'm also an actress, mother and grandmother with 3 beautiful grandchildren. I remember going to my uncle's funeral as a child and being so embarrassed because there was no money. We had to beg and borrow money just for the basics. I promised myself that would never happen at my funeral, and I got a funeral plan. Please listen to me. This is important. If you don't have funeral cover, get it today. It is easy and the premiums are affordable. I pay my premium every month. It gives me peace of mind. SMS now. Look at the number. I know the number is always there. Join me in taking care of our family's futures. SMS Lillian to 44054 and we'll call you back. SMS now.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
Recalculating your route. My ex never got lost. He always knew how to find the right spot.
There are comparison don'ts and comparison do's. Hippo.co.za instantly sources quotes from a range of car insurance brands. SMS Hippo to 45579.
Well, we've just seen it all change at the Mandela Day Marathon, and now a new leader, Lebopo, is opening up that gap over Ramonene. But Lebopo off air has had a few incidents with spectators where the well-meaning spectators, I think, are running next to him and trying to encourage him, but getting much too close and actually bumping into him, and I'm hoping that doesn't affect his race in any way.
You know, the excitement is appreciated, much appreciated, and the support. But I think there's something to be learned from both the spectators and runners alike. Just yesterday, Q and I were talking about, etiquette on the road, even with the runners. There are just things that you should, and some things you can't do. When a runner is at that point where they are running the last kilometers of the race, anything, and I'm talking about me, can annoy you. Now, I made an example that when I'm at that point, even my earrings feel heavy. So imagine somebody tapping you. It's like they're loading you. They're giving you another 10 kg weight, So that needs to stop.
It's even sometimes the guy next to the road that just shouts at you, come on, keep going, or ho bene ho, the Afrikaans favorite, and you're like, just be quiet, please. I'm too tired. I know you're trying to encourage me, but it's just a bit too much at this stage.
Or one of the worst ever. You're nearly there.
Yeah.
When you've got 80 k's left to go in Comrades.
Yeah, well, you would know that one, Q, and probably very, very well. But Lebopho does seem to have put the spectator troubles behind him, and that's perhaps, it's a difficult thing to do in a marathon like this. But if you look at the big city marathons, the spectators are always barricaded along basically the entire route from reaching the runners. And here, obviously, you don't have that. And like I said, we really appreciate the community spirit and getting involved. But, there is a line that you really shouldn't cross.
Definitely, and Lebopho at this stage on his way to victory, but I'm not going to say he's got the race all his way yet, as he makes that right turn. Beautiful overview shot there of the Midmar Dam, and he's making that right turn, so he's got around 5k's to go, maybe, perhaps. And I'm going to say, Arno, the race is not over yet. Don't count out Ramonene from coming back with a second wind, and definitely don't count out Yenesu, the Ethiopian. They say dynamite comes in small packages, and that's certainly the case with him.
Yeah, I think Yenesu might be the danger man here for Lebopho up in front. Ramonene, I'm not sure he has much left at this stage, but Dwayne Locker just made a very interesting comment off air. We're already past the marathon world record mark in terms of time, which just shows us how tough this race really is.
Definitely, and it's going to be interesting to see with us approaching the finish now whether Mabutile is going to be close enough to beat Tobane Chagwe's course record back from 2013, that 2 hours, 27 minutes and 12 seconds. I'm going to put it out there and think that he is going to get the record. If definitely, we saw the earlier pace in the beginning of the race was really fast. They went through halfway in 75 minutes, and Lebopho himself definitely has not slowed down. He's picked it up.
You're a brave man, but I'm not brave enough to bet against you on that one. But if you look at the Midmar Dam there, you can see the ripples on the water. We were standing outside. The wind has picked up again a bit. From a temperature point of view, it's quite nice for the runners because it's not too hot out there. But they are running into a bit of a headwind, which might put paid to your record predictions here, Kewan.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. And as we see Lebopho that's coming through there, it's going to be also interesting to see what's happening further back behind them. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises here at the capture site when we see the top 10 men coming through as Lebopho makes his way towards the capture site. But Pindi, back to the ladies' side, we haven't seen them for a while, but it's still Alepechu a long, long way out in front.
Definitely, and it'll be interesting to see who is the chasing pack, if there is a pack or that individual who is chasing her. But from what I see, she's been running on her own for a very, very long time. But again, one can never, say she's got this race, because anything can happen. We've just seen with the men's race.
Wel, definitief, maar Alepechu lyk ook gemakkelijk waar sy voorhardloop. Die oomblik kyk ons na Lebopho wat verby Ramonene geskuif het, en na die gaping word dit al hoe groter en groter en groter, maar die Ethiopian Yenesu is ergens agter Lebopho. Hy hardloop ook baie goed en met 'n paar kilometer om te gaan. Enigiets kan nog gebeur, soos hulle sê, maar ek dink op hierdie stadium is dit Lebopho wat heel waarskynlik hierdie wedloop gaan wen. Hy lyk gemaklik en is die gaping te groot terug na Yenesu toe.
And this was almost like watching the older Lebopho from yesteryear. This is definitely a revival in his running career. I remember back in 2006 when he won the Old Mutual Soweto Marathon, already 12 years back from now. And, he's tried to revive his running career a few times since turning a veteran, that's 40 years plus. I know he tried the Comrades Marathon twice as well, Pindi, which he failed to finish, and also didn't run the two Editions this year, but definitely the king of Soweto Marathon, as he was formerly known, Mabutile Lebopho, from the Kingdom of Lesotho. I think he's going to do it today.
Well, you can see there Lebopo on your screen and the aerial view of him passing the 21k runners, and that gives you a really good indication of how fast these elite men are running when they've already made up a half marathon on some of those half marathon runners and still passing them very, very quickly on the side.
Well, over 4,000 athletes today in the marathon distance, around 5,800 both in the 21k and 10k, so a whole host of athletes today. And I wonder how many people who are doing the 10 and 21k Pindi, as you may have known, are using this year's event as a stepping stone. I'll do the 10 this year, next year I'll do the 21, and if I'm brave enough to go up that struggle hill, I'll struggle with the 42k.
And you've got to be very, very brave, because that struggle hill is definitely not a walk in the park. I remember back when I did this race, I had, I always refer to meetings with yourself, and I had endless of those which didn't quite turn out really well, but I soldiered on nonetheless. But at the finish, I really was, tired, and I realized that this is one of the toughest marathons I've ever done, because it took all of me. But then, uzokhumbula ke ukuthi ubaba Nelson Mandela naye impilo yakhe ibingeyona elula kakhulu, ngakho ke kulungele ukuthi yona le race lomjaho ube uwo umjaho ongekho lula.
Well, we just saw Yenesu there pass Ramonene for second place, and he's certainly charging towards Lebopo in that first place. And we're talking about struggle hill, how tough this race is as Lebopo pushes up another hill and passes the half marathon runners on his right there. But I was wondering, Kieran, what would happen if they did this race comrade style and reversed the direction every other year? That would be quite a fast down run.
Yeah, that would be a very, very fast finish, especially down that 14k hill that they call Struggle Hill. I think we'd rarely see times of way under 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it's important also just to note on that point, when viewers at home are watching this marathon and they're thinking, these guys are running 2 hours 26, 2 hours and 27. But I saw Mary Keitany win the London Marathon in 2:17. It is a total different ball game. This is a really, really tough course. London have paces, but as we see on the right-hand side of the screen there, that's Yenesu, the short Ethiopian, and he is really flying, Pindi. It's going to be touch and go here for Lebopo, whether or not Yenesu can catch him towards the end. He still does have that lead at the moment, but we've seen this classic style before as well in the Soweto Marathon, where Yenesu was left for dead almost in second position, but came through to take the victory at the end.
Well, if you look at two men on your screen there, how they're running, I think that lead might be shrinking, because Yenesu is really powering. It's a bit deceptive at the moment because Lebopo is heading up that hill. Yenesu not quite there yet, but he is rounding the corner to start going up that hill. And of course, we're looking at the Nelson Mandela Day Marathon. It was initiated in 2012 to honor the life and times of our national father, former President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Athletes are running the 42.2, 21.1 and the 4.664 walk, which is 5 kilometers. Of course, there's a 10-kilometer race in there as well, as we celebrate the centenary year of Nelson Mandela.
And on the bottom right-hand side of the picture, coming through now, also just probably around 4th or 5th place at this stage, Justin Chesire, the Kenyan athlete who won 2 Oceans earlier this year. And if I'm not mistaken, Ndumiso Sokela from the eThekwini Running Club down in Durban. So at this stage, the first South African. We're not too sure what happened to Nkosi Kona Mhlakwane as Kebede Dinke, the other Ethiopian, comes through. And these guys were all flying in the beginning, Ono. And like as we mentioned earlier, having to, keep petrol in the tank for the second half, they are dearly paying for it now.
Well, even somebody like Kebede Dinke, who you've just mentioned, third place finisher from last year. So he might be moving up through it. And there we see Mandla Mandela finishing his race with the stroller, a little baby in tow. And still a big smile on his face as he finishes this 10-kilometer race.
This reminds me of last year's picture, because even last year we had a similar picture where he had a baby, and you can see he did the walk with his wife, one of his wives. Now they're completing the race as ke ba cross our finish line lapho ke baqeda. Uzawukhumbula ke ukuthi loyena is the grandson yaga ubaba uKholihlahla Nelson Mandela.
And nice to see Mandela taking part in that event and not doing the shorter 4.6 kilometer event.
Well, it's a big smile there. For 2 hours and 13 minutes he was out the road with his baby and his wife Rabia as they finish the 10-kilometer race, and we see some beautiful visuals of the surrounding area surrounding this Nelson Mandela capture site. There you can see the finish, and that is what these runners see as they come into the Nelson Mandela capture site in the beautiful Midmar Dam, rather, where they swim the Midmar Mile on their left.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the world's largest open water swimming event, the Midmar Mile. I actually went and watched it earlier this year, and I'm proud to say that I don't think I could ever swim that. Yet I saw a 5-year-old little boy swimming it with his father. So remarkable achievements there. And as Alec was mentioning earlier, with the remarkable stories of individuals, I'm sure there are plentiful with these athletes coming through at the moment.
Well, if you look at your picture now, you see Lebopo running, but in the background, just a bit obscured at the moment, there is a bike, and right behind that bike is Yeneso, our second place runner. And this gap looks like it might be shrinking. We might have some fireworks towards the end of this race. But first, we cross to Valen in studio.
Thank you very much to the commentators. We do look forward to crossing back to you as we continue to watch Mabutile Lebopo on our screens. Live visuals from the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. But we've just come back into studio because with me I've got the MEC for Sport and Recreation, Bongi Sitola Malloy. And of course, it takes many stakeholders to put this race together. And in its 7th year, it couldn't have been a better year, the centenary celebration of Nelson Mandela's life. And something that the KZN government are very proud of, to have been behind this race for the last 7 years. MEC, it's been another successful event, but this year was been incredible. 24,000 people coming to take part in different Mandela Day festivities.
Yes, it is a very wonderful event, and we are seeing it growing year by year. And as you'll recall, last year they were around 16,000. This year they are more than 20,000, and they are now trying to match the Comrade Marathon, because this year Comrade Marathon was about 22,000 runners that run, and we are happy that this event is taking place in this year, where we are celebrating the centenary for Utata Nelson Mandela. As you would know, the president has said we must celebrate his life, and we must ensure that when we celebrate the life of a legend, we do things that will make a difference and change the lives of the people. Hence, this event is changing a lot of people's life, because it happens in the areas where people previously could not have an opportunity to do the race in this magnitude. And also they are seeing new ventures of investment coming to their areas, and especially this area of Howick. It's growing, and business are growing in this area, and I'm certain that the economy of this area is growing every time when we come here. A new injection of economy is getting.
In April 2017, the department got behind KwaZulu-Natal cycling development, and there were over 50 different riders yesterday taking part in the mountain biking event.
That is a sign of saying that even the pre-activities that we have, like yesterday's one, which was a huge success, and we are trying to ensure that we elevate it. The only part that we are still lack of is one of the people with disability, and they've been telling us that they want to be part, even on Saturday. But we are hoping that next year they will be part, because we are trying to ensure that the route is conducive for them to be able to run. I'm thinking that when we look at this race, we must reflect on how passionate Tata Mandela was. And I don't want to downplay because it's August, and Mamusi Sulu is a woman, and I'm certain she was very passionate in ensuring that the community comes together and build unity, so that as a country we see people who are leaders and leaders in diverse sporting code and also in diverse cultures. They come together and celebrate. Sports bring people together, and as Tata Mandela would say,
MEC, after 7 years with this race coming to a part of the country and to a site that perhaps many people didn't know of before, this race has really brought this area to the fore. What is the department, the provincial department, doing when it comes to sport and recreation, specifically in this area?
Our role is to ensure that all sport codes are visible, but when this one is different because it's celebrating a life of a legend, and hence we are, as Department of Sports, we are part of it, and we love it because we know that we have to teach our children who they are and where they come from. But through this race, they become inquisitive, saying, who is Tata Mandela? Why do we have to run? And then you are able to tell the story about him and the importance of the giant that we had in our lifetime, who is Babu Mandela, who became our first president in a democratic dispensation. Really, this as sports and recreation, we feel that we are making a difference, but also not only on the sport code as it grows, but also in educating our community out there about the role that Tata Mandela played, about the importance of being patriotic about your country, as he did. He fought for this country. He ensured that we have a quality education as we have, and there's a lot that he did in his time when he was a president, and we are celebrating a life that was worth living for him, and we have learned from him that you must work hard to be able to achieve anything that you wish to achieve. You can't get it because you wish about it and not doing anything about it. And Tata Mandela has been like that, and he has been a good father and a leader, and we really want our community and people of South Africa to remember him for that, but not only remember him, but to take the good example that he has set for us.
Absolutely. That's the MEC for Sport and Recreation in the KwaZulu-Natal province, Bongi Sithole Malloy, chatting to us about the importance of sports exposure to the disadvantaged communities and the importance of healthy lifestyles. So the race did put up 5,000 Rand for the first KwaZulu-Natal athlete and 10,000 Rand for the first South African athlete. The way that it's looking on the screen, it doesn't look like that 10,000 Rand is going to be going to the winner of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. But let's cross over to our commentators now and rejoin the 42.2-kilometer race.
Thank you, Valen. And as we get back to the pictures, we see Yenesu passing Lebopo for the lead. This has been building for quite a while, and that gap was steadily closing, and Kewan Walker called this one quite early in the race already, saying Yenesu looked very dangerous, and you can see Lebopo's stride has changed. He might even be feeling some pain in a foot there or something. It looks like he's favoring his one leg, where Yenesu has closed down the gap past Lebopo and is pulling away from him at a rapid pace.
Yeah, this is something that we saw before in the Soweto Marathon, where Yenesu came from behind, where he looked rather settled for second or third place, and then he came through to take the victory. The question now for Lebopo is whether or not he can even hang on for a top 3 finish. Yenesu, checking his watch there, he's not got that long to go, maybe around about 2Ks or so, but Yenesu definitely has taken that lead from Lebopo, and I don't see anyone, Pindi, catching Yenesu right now. And this is a classic example of pacing yourself properly. All the breaks that happened early on, Yenesu just sat by, relaxed, bided his time, where Lebopo was very aggressive to catch Ramonene in the earlier stages as they went through that 32K mark. So this is a classic example of where pacing has failed for Lebopo.
All I can say now, Kewan, ukuthi ngiyakuvuma ngempela insizwa yakwethu wena uyisangoma la ngoba ekseni ushilo wathi uyenesu njengoba winile iSoweto Marathon 3 times. This year he's the man to watch, even though he's doing this marathon marathon for the very first time, but look at what he's just done. He's ran this race, he's managed to save some energy. You know, Alec was talking about that petrol, that energy that you need to save and use it when it matters, and he's just gone and done exactly that.
Baie aggressiewe taktieke deur Ramoneni en Lebopo. Jenesu meer konservatief, maar op die einde is hy die man wat hier verby skuif. En ek kan nie sien dat enigiemand op hierdie stadium vir Jenesu gaan vang nie, maar dalk het die wedloop nog 'n paar verrassings vir ons. Ons moet ook kyk wat gebeur vir die tweede plek tussen Ramoneni en Lebopa. Die vroue wedloop, Alebachu wat nog steeds gemaklik voorhardloop, maar dit is Jenesu wat daar die gaping so gou vergroot het oor Lebopa. Ons kan daar sien die voorste man en die voorste vrou op skerm op hierdie stadium. Jenesu, Alebachu, die twee Ethiopiërs uitstekend hardloop en nie nou te ver om te gaan nie, veral vir Jenesu.
Well, it's basically Ethiopia dominating the Mandela Marathon 2018 edition, with Jenesu on the left of your screen leading the men's race, and on the right of the screen, Alebachu, who from the start has been in the lead. She had some earlier company for the first 10Ks or so with Loveness Madziva, who's now fallen back, but Alebachu definitely at this stage on her way to a third victory, way ahead of the second place lady. But Alec, Jenesu himself, a 2-hour, 11-minute marathon runner. After the first time he won the Soweto Marathon back in 2014, part of his prize package then was a free trip to the Paris Marathon. And his fellow countrymen, if I could say, in the ladies' race who won Soweto that year, actually went on to win the Paris Marathon in 2:23. So 2:11 in this guy's legs, for him to come here and run 2:26, 2:27, whatever the time may be, it's almost as, if I could say, a tempo run up to 30 Ks, and then he puts the afterburners on.
Well, he still looks really comfortable. Just checking his watch there as Alec Riddle joins us again and after Pindi Gulu vacated her seat. But Alec, let's talk about strategy a bit, because we saw some very aggressive running through this men's race from a couple of athletes, most notably probably Ramoneni and then Lebopo, and it failed every single time. Where with the women's race, Alebachu seems to be running as aggressively, and for her it's succeeding.
Yeah, definitely we saw Ramoneni trademark style. You know, Steve Prefontaine used to say the best pace is suicide pace, and I run until I die. I'm talking about running parlance. We got 1K to go. We got to pretend, well, we're just going to miss the record probably by a fraction. But then we saw Mabatile Lebopo. You know, we saw him, we saw Ramoneni, we saw Jenesu, one or two others, and in the distance we saw Lebopo coming through, and next minute he was in second, next minute he was past Ramoneni, and I just believe that move was too aggressive. You know, he's been out of winning top-class marathons for a while. He probably just got a little bit ahead of himself because he's normally a very experienced campaigner, but this man, Jenesu from Ethiopia, a classy athlete. You know, we've seen what he can do at Soweto, at Ora Tambo. We've seen him run 2:11 in Paris. He's a phenomenal runner, as Kurt said. Probably a tempo run for him for the first 30 Ks. He knows how to win.
Well, he certainly does. He's done it many times in Soweto Marathon. This marathon a bit different, though, with the undulating terrain and, of course, that huge hill the athletes have to run up at the beginning of it. And coming here into the finish for Jenesu as well, he's going to take a little right turn into the Nelson Mandela Capture Site venue and then run around to his left. And we've talked about it earlier, and I saw Jenesu just step in a slight depression in the road and almost twisting his ankle. He's going to have to deal with a few more of those coming into the finish. It's a bit uneven, but and you'll have to watch his step, because we said earlier the worst thing that can happen is you run into the finish, you're 100 meters or so away and you twist your ankle, and then suddenly somebody comes from behind again. But that gap has opened up so large so quickly for Jenesu over Lebopo. I don't see, with about 500 meters to go or so now, that anybody's going to get close to him.
Yeah, definitely. Jenesu is going to be your 2018 Mandela Marathon winner. Definitely, by far, had the best race strategy today. He let all the guys go in the beginning, sat by, bided his time, and now he's coming through for the victory. And I know Nick Bester will be one very happy man today. He's really had some great performances with the Nedbank athletes, taking victories in the men's and women's race in the 21K, and at this stage looking like repeating the same in the marathon.
Yeah, the Green Machine, as Nick Bester would like to call them. They really have, dominated marathons in South Africa. They've got the biggest budget, pretty much like Sky in cycling and Real Madrid in football, but you've still got to produce the goods, and certainly Nick Bester and his team, the Nedbank team, are certainly doing that with the help of these Ethiopians and Kenyans they bring to the country, which certainly, adds to the whole excitement of this Nelson Mandela Day Marathon.
Well, it certainly does, and Nick Bester seems to know how to spot them and pick out the right Ethiopians and sometimes the Kenyans to run for this Nedbank international team. And it puts the pressure on the South Africans. I mean, if we want to win the big prize money, of course, 100,000 Rand for first prize here, we need to be able to compete with the likes of the Kenyans and Ethiopians. And we've seen in ultra marathons, the South Africans certainly step up. But over the marathon distance, we're still looking for a consistent performer from South Africa.
And the interesting thing that you'll find with Yenesu, you won't find him running the Cape Town Marathon in just under a month's time. Whereas with a lot of our guys, if they perform badly today, you'll see them on the start line of Cape Town. So they prepare meticulously for these races. But Yenesu is definitely going to be your 2018 Mandela Marathon champion as he comes down where we are based here at the capture site down in Howick. And hats off to him, 2 hours and 29 minutes and 32 seconds unofficial. So basically equal splits, although the second half of the race much tougher.
Well, he's about a minute slower than last year's winning time. We were talking about the fast times today, but I think the wind has picked up quite a bit over the last half of this race, and it was a headwind for these runners. But nevertheless, Yenesu finishing comfortably, and you see there, Lebopo, how far behind Yenesu is in the end. That's about 200 meters behind or more coming into the Nelson Mandela capture site.
Probably at least a minute, but Mabutile Lebopo, what a brave run. I mean, 44 years old. He's also going to get the first Veterans Prize today. He's going to take home a heap of cash, and he's going to be very proud of his run today. But he probably will be kicking himself a little bit when he realizes he allowed the excitement of wanting to take the lead get to him. He should have perhaps just hung back a little bit more. I think he had the legs today to potentially win this race. But what a fantastic athlete, and what a wonderful guy he is too, Mabutile Lebopo.
Yeah, perhaps took the lead a little bit too soon from Ramonene. Could have held back a little bit more, but he can nevertheless be a very, very happy man today with his run. Just over 2 hours and 30 minutes for Lebopo, and a great run, as you said, Alec. First veteran across the line, and get some prize money for that as well, of course.
Well, it's basically the return of Mabutile Lebopo after a few years of no performance. He tried earlier this year as well in the Two Oceans Marathon, but wasn't that fortunate to run well. But this is a really great performance. I'm sure we could call him the Kotov of the Basotho Kingdom. 44 years of age there and coming second overall in the 2018 Mandela Marathon. Great performance.
Well, you can see the smile there from the winner, Yenesu. He's very happy with what he did today, and he should be very well paced, and Ramonene seems to have lost that third place as well as we start welcoming back into the Mandela capture site the top 10.
And Mark Oyogu, the Kenyan athlete, one of Craig Fry's athletes, giving Nedbank a 1-2-3 finish in the Mandela Marathon today. So we didn't see much of Mark early in the beginning of the race. We saw more of Justin Cheshire, the Two Oceans champion, and he's come through the field, but you can just see how elegant are the Kenyans when they run. Not so much the case with Mark right now, just showing you the brutality of the course, as the fourth place athlete just behind him is Justin Cheshire, the Two Oceans champion.
Well,
could he get Mark for the third place?
Cheshire still is chasing down his countryman here, and we might be in for an exciting finish for that last step on the podium. And is there enough time for Cheshire to catch Oyoku? They're going around that left-hand bend, and the end is in sight now for Oyoku. Cheshire should be coming around. There he is, and I don't think he's going to be able to close that gap. They go onto the mat, and we've got a Kenyan 3-4 here. And again, just over 2 hours and 30 minutes. And interesting to note that last year, the first 5 men were under 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Well, Mark Oyugi, he's a Class C marathoner, 2:10, way back in 2015. But Craig Fry did say he's in excellent shape. He seemed to come through and pick up the pieces from John Chisiri, who was more prominent and falling back, unless, of course, Mark Oyugi was just off the back and we didn't see him. But it looks like he was one of the stronger finishers in the race.
As the next athlete coming through, that's Siyabonga Nkonde in the colors of eThekwini, a former Heroes Marathon winner from Umtata and a former SA cross-country athlete, and he'll be very happy with this performance coming through roundabout his second or third marathon, and not bad to finish 5th place.
Oh, it looks like the legs are hurting there, though, coming into this finish line. And as we said earlier, it's a bit of an uneven surface. So with legs hurting like that, you've got to be very careful and make sure that you don't misstep here at the end. But he seems to be comfortable. 2 athletes chasing at the back there, though.
And a nice bonus for him, of course. 5th place, first South African. What a great run this has been.
And first KZN athlete as well. So a nice payday for Nkonde coming through in the 5th place, running over 2 hours and around about 2 hours 33 minutes 53 seconds unofficially there. But I don't think anyone is as happy as Nkonde to see that finish line.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's in some pain there as more of the runners come in to the top 10 here.
Well, there was a maxed athlete finishing in 6th just behind Nkonde. I think that was Tebogo Nusi in the colors of Max from Lesotho, as Dinke, the Ethiopian who was leading in the beginning with Ramonene, coming through for 7th. But mentioning that, where is Ramonene?
I think there was another athlete in front of Denke as well. So I think we probably got 8th already. Bit of chaos here. Scenes of the finish with 3 races finishing at once. Very hard to pick up the athletes. Beautiful pictures of the SABC trucks.
And last year's winner in the colors of Nedbank coming through there, but Indomiso Sokela from the Arthur 4 team, and this is actually a training partner of Bongwisa Mthembu, 2018 Comrades champion. This guy has bucket loads of speed, and he assists Bongwisa with all of his long runs and stuff, and this is actually his first marathon. So Kolani Mabida, they call him the youngster because he is a youngster, but that's his coach, and his athletes are shining today.
Well done there for him. He comes home in 9th place, and here's number 10 just to round out the top 10 of the men's finishers.
Yeah, Tefera, and who would want to run their first marathon on this course? You can see how much it hurt the Arthur Ford athlete, but yeah, so that's, I think, our top 10 concluded. Everybody's fatigued. The guys who finished first usually have less fatigue, even though they've worked harder, and that's because of the adrenaline.
And that's last year's champion who you saw there lying on that platform. He finished 10th, so definitely conditions, I think, right now, definitely hotting up, and I think it's going to be a struggle for, as you say, Arno, the social runners.
Yeah, I think it's a double whammy there with the heat and the wind. You can see those flags, and the wind has been coming and going, and initially it died down a bit, but towards the last half of the race it certainly picked up, and the athletes running straight into that wind for most of this race.
Well, another athlete coming through in the colors of Pantane. So this is a teammate of Ramonene, the Lesotho athlete who was leading in the beginning, and the coach Mdu Kumalo trains a lot of these athletes, and unfortunately the late Spiwe Ndlela, who passed away earlier this year, huge talent from the KZN region, and he was also his coach, and he does a lot for the athletes down in KZN, and good performance by his athletes today.
Well, number 11, probably the worst place to finish, especially since you're just outside any prize money. So unfortunately, no prize money there. But again, a brilliant run by anybody, really, who finishes this marathon, let alone in around 2 hours and just over 30 minutes.
Which actually just puts you into perspective as well, how quick Yvette van Zyle's 2:47 was on this course, which on that day was essentially a training run. She was instructed by her coach, Lindsay Parry, just to run the first 30k steady and then maybe pick it up, but she found herself winning and making a lot of money on a good training run.
Well, we see there Grant Adams finishing as well, and we remember him from Comrades Marathon, of course, where he insisted on getting out of his wheelchair and walking the last part of the race. And this is all these bucket list items that he is doing, and going through the various races. They are, of course, assisted by his friends and colleagues.
That's right, Anu, and remember that the reason why he's on a wheelchair, actually, he has MS, and earlier this year he committed, late last year he committed that he was going to run Comrades, and completed with his old mate Andrew, and here they are again completing Nelson Mandela Marathon. And I mean, he is just such a gentleman and an inspiration as well. This is a man who was at his prime of his career as a marketer, who's worked for many leading brands globally as a marketing director, but sadly he had to stop everything due to the disease MS, and that also affected his running and something that he was passionate about, golf. And here he is. Good to see that he's still active and he's enjoying being out there on the road, and he absolutely loved Comrades, and he said God willing he will be back at it. And I'm very, very delighted to see him back here at the Nelson Mandela Marathon.
Well, of course, he's finishing the half marathon in this case, and it's Grant Adams being pushed by his friend Andrew Murray there. And it was such an inspirational moment when he finished the Comrades Marathon a couple of months ago. And great to see them tackling more races. And it looks like he's going to do the exact same thing here. He insists on crossing the finish line on his own 2 feet.
I know he will kill me if I don't say Grant, the handsome one.
Oh, of course,
he
yes,
insists
the handsome
on that.
one.
He insists on that one. So I shall do justice to your name, Grant. Grant, the handsome one. He is braving it. He is standing up on his feet, and he is going to cross the finish line, standing man, walking towards the finish line. This is really something that I love about running, because you see incredible people doing extraordinary things. These are the stories that lie in the field of runners, and there's many of them.
Well, certainly, and especially on this auspicious occasion of the Mandela Day Marathon centenary years. I mean, we can look at so many quotes by Nelson Mandela. I think of the one he said, it's always impossible, or it always seems impossible until it's done. And I think what a great finish here to watch these men finish their half marathon as well. All smiles, very happy at the end of the Nelson Mandela Day half marathon.
And you know, when you see those visuals, I know it's I think if you're sitting at home and you're not doing anything, you really sit and you ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Why can I not do this? This is something to inspire many of the people who are sitting at home doing this, because often we say, I can't do it, and you just write a quote from the late Nelson Mandela to say, it always seems impossible until it's done. And I'm of the belief that anyone can do, comrades. All you need to do, that mental strength you were talking about earlier on, Alec, is that, exactly that. You need to be focused on the goal and work towards it.
That first one, sure. Well, we're back to the women's race now, and we're told that this is the First Lady. And Kieran?
Well, this is very interesting, because that's Lois Japet, who's from Kenya. So we mentioned them earlier, that there were 2 Kenyan women in the field that were under 2:30 for the marathon. This is one of them, Lois Japet. So she's definitely come through really fast in the field. It will be interesting to see where Alabetru is. But the athletes in the colours of Max just in front of her, that's Lovemore Chabata, very well-known individual down in the Durban area. He works down at the Durban Runner as a shoe salesman. He was a sub-6-hour Comrades runner this year, finishing 17th. So she's catching men who are elite level, and it just shows you that her pacing has come through. We're seeing basically what happened in the men's race with Ramonene happening now to Alabetru. So her hopes of a third victory are now running out of her sights.
I think one of the other things to mention is just how tough the start is. I mean, just to go back to how incredibly tough it is, how much it takes out of the athletes. We've spoken about having something in reserve in the closing stages of this race, where it's not a flat finish, but it is certainly less intense, shall we say, than that rather very tough opening stretch that includes Struggle Hill, and certainly there is some struggle in the back end, but some athletes have got the fortitude to just push through in the closing stages, and some have enough in that proverbial tank to take it to the finish line.
Most definitely, as you see those long lanky strides of Lois Japet in the colours of Nedbank, running obviously the Kenyan. But just to show you an example of how good Tobani Chagwe and Yvette van Zyle's course records are, we see Yenesu, who's a 2:11 marathon runner, finishing over 2 minutes slower than Tobani Chagwe's record. Lois Japet herself is a 2:29 marathon runner, but she's going to finish way outside Yvette van Zyle's course record. So those runs back in 2014, where we had 2 South African victories on that day. we're going to have to pray for that to happen again sometime in the future. Will we ever see it happen?
Well, I'm sure it's going to happen again, but I'm not sure it's going to be happening in the next few years. Certainly, it doesn't look to be imminent in this race. Already with a victory in the men's race for the Ethiopian Yunesu, who had a fine, strong finish to his Nelson Mandela Marathon. But what a fantastic, strong finish it was from Yunesu ahead of Mabutile Lebortu. Marco Yoguf third, Justin Chishere finished fourth, and Siyabonga Nkonde of South Africa, the first KwaZulu-Natal and first South African athlete home, but with this magnificent shot over the Midmar Dam and along the route of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. We'll go to a quick break.
7 months from now, on April 27, 1994, all the people of South Africa, without discriminations on ground of gender, race, color, or belief, will join in the historic act of electing a government of their choice.
How can I play with bigger boys if I'm afraid of little scratches, right?
But I know that as he learns to be brave, he'll face even more germs and the risk of infection.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection, because Dettol kills 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's, while stocks last.
There are 3 kinds of moms. The paranoid mom. No, it's hot and you'll get dirty. The cautious mom. And the Dettol mom. A Dettol mom worries less and loves more. She trusts Dettol to clean dirt and protect her family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Don't be any mom. Be a Dettol mom.
Welcome back to SABC Sports Live broadcast of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. If you looked on social media a little bit earlier on and you thought, why is the hashtag NM100 trending? Well, this is the reason why. We are at the capture site, which is the finish line for the 3 different events that took place, or actually the 4 different events that took place as part of the Mandela Day Marathon. We're going to continue bringing you what happened in the elite men's and women's race as we continue having athletes completing the 21.1 kilometer race as well as the standard marathon distance. But I did say there were 4 different races that took place. Yes, the 42, the 21, the 10, and then there was a VIP race over 4.6664 kilometers. And one of the dignitaries that was taking part this morning was our Minister of Transport, Bladen Zamande. KZN, he tells me, runs through his veins. He was born just over the mountain over there, and he joins us now in our studio.
Yes, thanks, Valen. Good morning. Good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Tell me first, how was your race?
It was very nice, actually. I feel a bit tired but refreshed, and it was historic. It's the first time that I'm able to actually participate in this race, although I was walking.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do, since it started, but unfortunately I've always had other commitments. Today I managed to come and participate. It really feels good. The atmosphere is nice, you know, and it's grown now in numbers, you know. It's 24,000. It's almost double, I'm told, if not more, than what it was last year. And of course, the beautiful KZN Midland surroundings, which for me is home. And it's also quite a historic one to be participating in the centenary marathon.
I mean, I think that's perhaps why I think a lot of people felt that this, if there was 1 year to do this event, it was in the centenary year of Madiba. Did you feel the same way?
Yes, I feel the same way, you know. I would like to participate in future as well, you know, as well as I said, I would have liked to have participated in the past. But this one is the centenary is really truly historic, you know, which is very important. It's becoming an event that I have no doubt when I just look at it, you know, that it might actually become a serious competitor to the Comrades Marathon, if not better. So it's quite a historic and an important year. And of course, I would like personally also to thank all the participants and all those who have been involved in the organizing of this. Truly is a great event.
So there we actually see you on the screen now, Minister. That was you earlier on, walking, waving, enjoying yourself. But it seems that with President Ramaphosa bringing activity to the fore with his different walks in different communities, that this is something that the cabinet is getting involved in. This walking thing is becoming quite real.
Exactly. I think that the president actually has set a good example, you know.
Yeah.
I wish he was here so that we could compete a bit. But he has truly set a very good example in terms of saying we must all exercise and be fit and so on. I think that next year I'm going to do the 10 kilometers.
Minister, I'm going to have to just press pause on our interview. We've got our leading lady and she's about to come into the stadium. So it's going to erupt here with noise. We're going to go across to our commentators and then we'll continue our conversation after we've brought in our leading ladies. Commentators, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Phelan Kirtley. Yes, indeed, in the closing final few hundred meters here, approaching the capture site, which will be coming up on her right as she approaches the finish line. Kangogo Lois Chebet of Kenya is looking very strong in the closing stages, and sometimes it's helpful to have somebody pacing alongside you. Other times it's good to be in your own head, in your own world, when you're needing to focus on the closing stages of a marathon. But certainly you can't argue with Lois Chebet's finishing. She looks strong, she looks confident, and she's certainly going to claim the title of champion of the Mandela Day Marathon of 2018 here.
Yeah, definitely. Jabet in the colours of Nedbank from Kenya. This is going to be the first Kenyan lady to win the 42-kilometre event of the Mandela Day Marathon, as she's just dropped her pacemaker there, Lovemore Chabata, the Zimbabwean guy who was trying to help her through to the finish. But she's going to make that right-hand turn now, and she'll be taking that 100,000 Rand first prize. And not only 100,000 Rand, of course, big incentives and bonuses put up by some of the elite teams today, but almost a different bounce in her stride as she entered that stadium. So just the crowd euphoria bringing her through.
Well, Pindigula, I think, is stunned into absolutely amazed at the moment.
It's just amazing how this race happens. You know, off air we were just talking with Q and that it's just so unpredictable. First of all, even at the start, there was no mention of her, and now here she is. She's just about to cross the finish line, approaching that line, and she has won the Mandela Marathon 2018. It is incredible. The Kenyans are just wonderful and really strong runners, and there she is. She's done it, the winner of the Mandela Marathon 2018.
And meeting her manager there, Craig Fryer, he'll be a very, very happy man. There's 2 hours and 51 minutes her winning time, so similar to last year, and she's overcome with emotion there. Very, very happy, Lois Jobet, your victor, and perfectly timed race. She came through from behind, nowhere near Alabechu going through the halfway mark, but that's 2:29 marathon speed is definitely paying dividends towards the dying stages of today's race. Now we're going to have to wait to see where Alabechu is, and more importantly, who the rest of the top 10 women are going to be.
Indeed, she's somebody who brings that marathon running sub 2:30 over the last 2 years in marathon races all around the world, from Portugal to Korea. She's come to South South Africa to race in the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon, and Lois Chebet has just collapsed following her victory in the women's elite race. Alabachu of Ethiopia was leading for the longest time and certainly looked very strong midway through this race as she passed the 21-kilometer mark in front as she went through Hilton, and looked good around Howick as well, but showing some real pace in the closing stages of this marathon and extending her advantage over Alabachu, who remains out on course, is not too far away from the capture site, slowly approaching the venue. She'll be finishing, it seems, in second place, but much of the attention focused on the Kenyan victor here. We're going to be bringing you interviews as well with those that have made podium places. With Suan Ngobo is going to be down at the finish line. She'll be chatting to a couple of the stars of the marathon so far. Well, there's Craig Fry having a little bit of a conversation with a few athletes out and about, including, of course, Marco Yogu, who finished third overall in today's race. But that is Alabachu of Ethiopia, who led for the longest time in this race. She's a two-time champion, narrowly missed out on winning 3 in succession, when she finished second last year, having been chased down by Mauro Lechoka, and in the end she's been chased down again, this time a little further out, by Lois Chebet of Kenya. And Alabachu, for the second year in succession, is going to have to finish settle for second place, having won it in successive editions in 2015 and 2016.
I wonder if perhaps she didn't have some issues out on the road, because she's finishing strongly. As we saw that aerial shot of her coming through, very, very high cadence still. As we see the athletes just in front of her, Charles Gianni, multiple Two Oceans and Comrades gold medalist, and the guys are having a bad day in the office today. But Alabachu, as you mentioned, coming through, she'll take second position just like she did last year, although last year just missing out on that third victory, finishing 1 or 2 seconds behind Mamarolo Choka, who we saw earlier in the day winning the half marathon. But it's another Nedbank athlete coming through, and Nick Bester, I know they call him the Asterman. He will be very, very happy with his athletes' performances today, totally dominating here in the Mandela Day Marathon.
I'm just wondering what's going through her mind with this happening to her the second time. They say once bitten, twice shy. And will she be coming back next year? She loves this race. She didn't make it any secret last year when I spoke to her. She says she loves coming for Mandela Marathon because of what the race stands for and what the race is about. She looks like, she's determined at some point she will win this race, and I don't see her giving up anytime soon. But well done to Alabachu, who has just finished second position in the women's race.
And just like Yenesu in the men's race, Alabachu's got a 32-minute 10-kilometer, so she's no slouch at all over the shorter distances. So when she comes to events like the Mandela Day Marathon, running around 2:48, 2 hours 50 minutes marathon pace is in essential a long-run training pace for these Ethiopian athletes. The faster you are at the shorter distances, the easier technically, so to speak, you are in the marathon distances. But we saw her agent Belay Hagos congratulating her on that second position, and he's an Ethiopian who bases himself in South Africa now. He's lived here for the past 10 years in Johannesburg, and he's brought through all of these Lesotho athletes. And a lot of people can complain, they're coming to take prize money and stuff, but they're actually upping the level for our athletes to perform better.
Well, more and more athletes continue to stream to the finish line, but certainly we still wait with bated breath to see the third women's finisher in the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. But the first two have crossed the finish line, with Chebet ahead of Alabachu. But we interrupted an interview to bring you the finish of the women's race, so we go back to Valen Curley in studio.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. Yes, we stopped talking to our Minister of Transport, who completed the VIP race a little bit earlier on and finds himself now at our on-site studio at the capture site here in Howick. Minister, you met Madiba shortly after he was released in 1990. Do you want to share a little bit of your memories with Mandela?
Yes, of course. There's lots that one can talk about the old man, as we used to call him, about. I can't really remember exactly in which circumstances we met. I seem to recall vaguely that it had a lot to do with the problems of violence in the KZN Middle East.
Yeah.
You know? Because I remember at the time, you know, the late Oliver Tambo was alive then, was still ANC president, was ill-disposed. So Mr. Mandela, one of the things that he had to do immediately after this release was actually to deal with the violence. And I was serving in the interim committee of the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands region of the ANC at the time. And I think that was my first meeting. It was actually around one of his visits, you know, early visits, you know, to actually come and engage, try and talk about issues of peace in the province, you know, and so on.
Do you think he would be proud of this type of celebration of his life?
Certainly, and of course he himself was a sportsman. He was a boxer, amongst other things. He really would have been excited. In fact, as I was finishing this race and just watching, looking around here, I say, wow, isn't this typical Nelson Mandela spirit, you know, and the surroundings and so on? And I must also, by the way, congratulate the two municipalities, Umgungundlovu and Msunduzi, as well as the KwaZulu-Natal province, for actually supporting this. Because for me, what is most important, this is part of telling our own history. As a country, it's about us, it's about who we are and also who we want to be, you know, that we want to celebrate our heroes, and also that we won't be able to have a future as a country unless we know our history and where we come from. So for that reason, it really is quite an important thing that reflects who Mandela was. By the way, in so many ways, you know, Mandela was a very simple person. Really could relate, you know, to ordinary people and so on, but it could be difficult. That's the other side that people, you know, don't talk about it. It could be harsh and hard and difficult. I remember those days, you know, at the height of the KZN violence, you know. Maybe if I can, I'm just recalling this one incident. He came to meet what was then the 3 ANC regions to announce that the armed struggle was going to be suspended at the time when the violence was at its height. And I was one of those who was asked that I must speak to oppose the lifting of the armed struggle in front of him, you know.
Sure.
And before anybody else could stand, he says, no. He didn't hear my name well at the time. He thought I was Blaze, you know, and so on. He then says, no, I want to talk to this young man. I was once a young man myself, and I was angry as you are. There is nothing wrong in being angry, by the way. It's understood. But tell me, how is your anger going to take us from point A to point B? Our point A is where we are now, and our point B is to achieve peace. Because you can be angry, but how is that anger going to help us to take us to bringing about peace? It's quite a tough question to answer. Hadn't thought about it. We're all very angry because of the blood that was being spilled here.
Yeah. And I suppose that question is still relevant, unfortunately, to this very day, in this very present time that we speak, especially looking at what's happening in KZN. Minister, I'm sorry, but we have got a race that's currently underway, and we had our men. Right. We had our men coming over the finish line. So I'm going to ask if you don't mind staying, because I'm listening to you. I'm hanging on every word that you're saying. I want to hear more of your stories. Mandela telling you this young man is very angry, but how's it going to get us from point A to point B? But we've got our winners, the men's, the top three.
Right,
they're
fine.
at the finish line with Siwe. So let's hear what they have to say about their run earlier today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Raylan. Really exciting down here, receiving all the runners as they come through. But right now, a man who's really represented for Kenya. I mean, Kenya really dominating here today. We've got Mark from Nairobi. Mark, great run you had here today. Tell me more about your experience out on the field.
Thank you this is my first time for coming in South Africa and participating in Mandela Marathon. This is my second marathon, but the course was very hard. But I thank God because I'm not expected that. Thank you.
So tell me, Mark, when you say you were not expecting this, did you come to South Africa just to run Mandela Day Marathon? Did you not hope to come first, second or third, or at least finish top 10 today?
No, but do you know, the first, the competition was very high, and the course was very hard. I'm not expected, by the way, I was number 3. Me, I was expected that it was 6, 7, 8, but I thank God because I'm coming for position 3. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, Mark, and we're certainly hoping to see more of you in more South African races in the near future.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm coming for next. For this year, I am going to participate in many races in South Africa. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is Mark. He came in third today in the 42.2 kilometer race. Now, a man that really needs no introduction when it comes to running once again, Matupile, coming in second today. Now, how kala mata today? No, nerubana maybe utlo for mana position ya number 1 mara hey, ekare ne hole buthata ka jego.
Wa tsaba ho ne o se le thata ka lokalo a gola ha o bona motho wa dilemo tse tsa ka tsena fo ejo 40 ke lekile ka data ka nnete ga ba nneng ke le ke o mata ka matlanyana empa he motlankana wa Ethiopia o ile a batla ba speed ka ga 40 ka mono o ile a batla ba speed ke le ka ho lwana hore ba nneng ke bona ga ba nneng ke le ka fumana yena position 1 but ho no so le late ga ba nneng ke khona ga ba nneng ke molelekise ka nako e
o nagana gore maybe o repaceile ka tsela e right ka jego gore maybe when there was nothing different you could have done ke gore a botwa ko Ethiopia o tlile ka mission A1 ka jego.
Yeah, how ka go shep ke tlile ke mata from the back ke ne ke batla ho mata the way ke tlwaetseng mata ka teng ha ke ntse ke le senior so I did well because tsela yo ke tlwaetse mata ka yena ke mathile ka yona empa nne ka nnete ke mpa fela ke tlotse wina e hlile ne le target ya ka go bana ke wine belona ka jeko
okay khona jwanong where to from here for Matupile re tlo bona kae gape
ha o ka sheba gana le lebelo mane le Sothomane ge le bitsa mogotlong high altitude sama marathon a gola go tloa monna ke tla le ba hona teng o banneng Soweto hanga ba ka register for Soweto e le go nka ke la ka batla ke lwa injuring for the long time ago ke ntse ke batla go ga ba nneng ke nne ke boe ke nyolo ya jwalo e le go ke ntse ke le ka go bontsha this youngsters go ga ba nneng I can do it again.
And congratulations to you once again for making us proud here today.
Ntate Mandela, the late honorable Ntate Mandela,
that is our second place here today in the 42.2 kilometer race, and the man of the moment really just representing for Ethiopia, holding nothing back. Yunesu is the man that we spoke about from early on in the day, and today he managed to do it in his first time running in the Mandela Day Marathon, coming in first. You can see really the body has taken a toll on him. Yunesu, tell me, how are you feeling about your run here today?
I'm very happy today for winning the Mandela Marathon.
Now, this was your first time running in the Mandela Day Marathon. Was it the type of race you expected it to be in terms of the challenging course?
እና እንደዚህ አስቸጋሪ ይሆናል ብለህ ጠብቀህ ነበር ወይ ዳገቱን ምናምን? I never expect it will be like such a challenge, tough course, but I'm happy I win this race.
And tell us more about the competition out on the field today. Did you feel that the other men were giving you a run for your money, or do you feel like you were just running in a race of your own, no competition, because we saw you taking the lead very early on?
ገና ውድድሩ ሲጀመር አንተ ነበርክ እየመራ የነበርከውና ያስቸገሩ ሰዎች ነበሩ ወይ በዛ ውድድር ላይ?
አይ አላስቸገረንም፣ ምንም አላስቸገረንም። ግን እኔ ከመጀመሪያ መምራት የጀመርኩት የኮርስ ሪከርዱን ለመስበር ነበር። ኮርስ ነው።
I was running there was no big challenge there, but I was running to break the course record, that is 2 hour 27 seconds, but later he said it's a tough course and I failed.
Okay, and what is next in store for you, Yunesu, coming up?
የሚቀጥለው ውድድር ምንድን ነው? አንተ አሁን እያሰብክ ያለው የሚቀጥለው ፕላን ምንድን ነው?
ኬፕ ታውን ነሐሴ ወጥተው ምናምን
I'm going to run Cape Town Marathon soon.
Okay, so we'll see you at Cape Town Marathon. Is that something that where you want to walk away victorious? Are you looking at that #1 spot and just showing complete dominance and representing Ethiopia?
እዛ ውድድር ላይ እንዴት ነው አንደኛ ለመውጣት ነው ወይ የምትሮጠው? Yes, I'm going to run to be #1 in Cape Town Marathon as well.
Thank you so much and congratulations to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yinesu, just a man of many smiles, doesn't look at all like he's just run 42.2 kilometers and not just running it, but running it extremely well. But right now we go back to our team in studio.
Basiwa, thank you so much. And what a brilliant run from Mkosi Mhlongo, the first South African lady across the finish line. And just like in the men, where Bongo was the first South African, and he hails from KZN. Mkosi also hailing from KZN. So congratulations to her. We'll continue to bring you the top 10 ladies as they come across the finish line here at the capture site. But I'm going to conclude this conversation that I've been having with our Minister of Transport, Minister Bladen Zamande. He completed the VIP race earlier on. And you were sharing some of your memories about Mandela, saying that he was at times he was a difficult man, and you guys sometimes came head to head. He once called you an angry young man.
Yes, that's right, yeah. No, he could be, he was very decisive and firm. He was a good listener at the same time,
And that's, I suppose, the lessons that he leaves us with, amongst all of the wisdom that we learn about Mandela. But what does Mandela Day mean for you?
But it means a lot, Firstly is to reflect on his contribution to the liberation struggle in our country. Think about it, Valen. Mandela were active, in the late 1940s. The apartheid government came into place in 1948. In the 1950s, they were calling for a non-racial South Africa. Way back then, when it could have been easy to say, well, there are whites oppressing black people, let's smoke a people. It could have been easy, but they said no. The solution to a bad problem, a bad matter, is actually to then come up with a solution of a higher level. So non-racialism was that we can't counteract with something similar. We've got to actually come up with something much better. So that's the legacy we should be celebrating. I would have liked to have seen much more the rainbow kind of South Africa today, for instance. Maybe not enough of that as yet, but I hope that we'll get there because that's part of the legacy. Non-racialism, which was very important, that we strived for, Today we take it for granted, that as if the issue of non-racialism was always on their agenda. Mandela and his generation were a very special generation. So it's part of celebrating that. But also, as I say, celebrating our own freedom, which we shouldn't take for granted. It wasn't easy. Many people died, lost their lives, loved ones, and so on. So it's very important then that we also do not just talk about it, painful as it was, but also events like this, which are happy moments, are also important as one way, as I have said, of telling our own history and celebrating our own heroes and celebrating South Africans, as Mandela would have said, that this thing of everything being placed on my shoulders is not correct because I was not alone. I was actually with many other people. So this is part then of participating now and committing ourselves, hopefully, to building a better South Africa.
Minister, thank you so much for your time. Well done on your VIP walk earlier today. Throughout the broadcast, we've been playing little clips of different Mandela speeches. And one of the things that he says as we conclude our conversation is, I am where I am, and I am the man I am because of South Africa. And if I look at the kind of event that we've had here for the Mandela Day Marathon, and with all sporting events, it reminds us of the kind of South Africa that all of us want to be a part of.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it will get there, as I was saying, the kind of South Africa that should be reflected here and all that.
Lovely stuff. That's our Minister of Transport, Blade Nzimande, chatting to us as part of our broadcast. Let's return to our commentators now.
Thank you very much, Valen Kirtley. Always interesting to chat, but Mandela Day Marathon certainly far from complete for the elite athletes. And we're looking now at the woman who is coming home in 6th position overall. She led for a short time in this race, running for Nedbank Running Club, Loveness Matsiva, who is a former winner, of course, of a number of races in South Africa, including the Durban City Marathon and the SA Run for Cancer 48-kilometer, the ultra marathon. But she is somebody who, for a short while, Pindi at least was in front, but just faded badly, it seems, in the latter half of this race.
Yeah, you remember Kewan spoke to the fact that she's done very well this year, but possibly overran, herself, and it's definitely no petrol money for those 2 cars that she won. As she is not in the pod, she didn't make a podium, and but I guess it's a good lesson for some of the runners that you really have to get to a point where you pick your runners carefully and work towards those, because running everything, there are consequences to that.
The other thing that I do want to highlight again is this race certainly is particularly tough on the athletes, but Alec, we notice it more in the women's race than we do in the men's race. Jibet coming home in 2 hours 50. We're well beyond, we're nearly at 3:15 into this race, and we've only welcomed 6 women home.
Yeah, we saw that last year. I think there was something like 18 minutes between the top 4 in the ladies, and the top 10 men were only 3 minutes apart. So a lot more depth in the men's races versus the women's races. And I think it's, a legacy of the past. I think it was 1984 they had the first 3,000 meters at the Olympics, and then it became a 5 and a 10, and then the marathon and so forth. So they were precluded from a long time, and I suppose it does take time for generational change, but I think we will see more and more depth come into running. Just to recap, while we were away there with the interview, that was Chilita Sefu from Ethiopia came into 3rd, and look at the courage of this young man coming across the line. And then, of course, we have Makosi Mhlongo, a boxer, KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, first South African KwaZulu-Natal and SA finisher.
Well, that's what you call pushing through the pain. Right there is the finish. But indeed, certainly, Jebet Alabachu Asefa Makosi Mhlongo, first South African, first KwaZulu-Natal athlete across the line. Jennifer Koech running out the top 5. And indeed, Loveless Matsiva having crossed in 6th position overall. But I can tell you that Busiwe Ngobo's down at the finish line, and she's got the women's winner with her.
Thank you so much, Dwayne, and to our commentary team. I am down here with the winner of the 42.2-kilometer women's race, and that is Lois, also representing Kenya. Like we did mention earlier on, Kenya really dominating here today. Lois, tell me, how are you feeling about your run today? I know this was your first time taking part in the Mandela Day Marathon. How are you feeling?
Feeling fine.
Did you enjoy your run? Was it a difficult run, or did you find it fairly easy?
No.
It was an easy run for you today.
Pardon?
Was it an easy run for you today?
No, it's not easy.
Where did you find difficulties in the race?
From starting to 21K?
Yes. From 21Ks it started?
From starting to 21K.
It was easy for you from start to 21K?
It's not easy, but from 25 to 35, it's good.
Okay, well, there we go. This is the winner of the 42.2-kilometer women's race, Lois, representing for Kenya. As you can see, extremely tired after what she did here today. But right now, we cross back to our commentary team.
Well, certainly a little bit of energy that was expended out on the course, undoubtedly, by Louis Jibet, the winner of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon that we bring you live coverage of right here on SABC Sport on 2. The 7th edition of the marathon overall, but certainly a very strong field in the men's and women's race. Jibet coming out on top of the women's race, Inesu of Ethiopia winning the men's race. But more from this Mandela Day Marathon after this.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
You can suffer from many different types of pain. Nurofen knows this, which is why it targets the source of your pain and works with your body to provide relief for up to 8 hours. Ask your pharmacist about Nurofen for targeted relief from pain for up to 8 hours.
How can I play with bigger boys if I'm afraid of little scratches, right?
But I know that as he learns to be brave, he'll face even more germs and the risk of infection.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection, because Dettol kills 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Heaviness and the burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn, so you can keep on living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
There are 3 kinds of moms. The paranoid mom. No, it's hot and you'll get dirty. The cautious mom. And the Dettol mom. A Dettol mom worries less and loves more. She trusts Dettol to clean dirt and protect her family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Don't be any mom. Be a Dettol mom.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
Dub won't let damage hold you back. I curl it because my hair is my accessory. I braid it because it says where we come from. I straighten it because it's my decision. I dye it because why not? Because it's liberating. Because like me, my hair is ever-changing. For you to carry on being you, Dove Intensive Repair nourishes deep down to stop 90% of damage because your hair expresses who you are. Dove Intensive Repair. After a long day of hard work, pain can drain even the most hardworking members of our community. And every once in a while, even a steering may need a helping hand. That's why they can always trust Grandpa's fast-acting pain relief. It's ready to work in 10 seconds for toothache, headache, muscle ache, or backache, so that they can be the kasi steering we need them to be. Ngoba umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu.
Grandpa, trusted for over 100 years.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
Welcome back. You're watching SABC Sports live broadcast of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. It all ends here at the capture site in Howick along the R R103 to Lions River. This was the place where on the 5th of August in 1962, Nelson Mandela was captured by the apartheid police. He was arrested on charges of not having a passport and inciting people to strike, and that effectively set in motion 27 years behind bars. We remember his legacy today, every year that we have the Mandela Day Marathon, but this year is particularly special because it is the centenary year of Tata Madiba. Now, this race is put together in partnership with a number of different departments here in KZN. Umgungundlovu District Municipality is one of the key stakeholders because this is, of course, where the race takes place. The Kokta Provincial Department, as well as the Provincial Department of Sport and Recreation. We had the MEC for Sport and Recreation a little bit earlier on Sitole Malloy, and now we have a Kokta MEC. Numusa, I mean, MEC, this is a wonderful event, and congratulations once again on putting it all together. Can you believe how it's grown?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's actually very humbling, I must say, to think that we've traveled so far. From the humble beginning, where we only had 4 gazebos and 1,000, close to 1,400 people, to 24,000 people in 2018, and the whole village, and being able to manage from logistics of the athletes, but also to make this a good experience for all the athletes, to put the athletes at the center of this race, and to have them being able to enjoy being part of this legacy, the 100 years of Nelson Mandela, of course celebrating the centenary of both Mama Sisulu this year and Nelson Mandela, but on the Nelson Mandela Day Marathon itself, the 100, hashtag 100, running the legacy, it really means a huge achievement from us as organizers, working with all the partners.
MEC for Kokta in the KZN province, Numusa Dube Ngube. A couple of weeks ago, there was something else quite special that you unveiled here at the capture site, and that was a replica of the car that Madiba was actually traveling in when he was arrested on the 5th of August. So as much as we've seen the race grow, we've actually also seen the site and the museum that's attached to the site also growing.
It's going to grow. It's going to be a wow. South Africans are going to see something they've never seen before. Before the end of the centenary, we're going to be officially opening the multi-purpose, multimedia center here in this capture site. And the replica car that we unveiled on the 5th of August, people are going to be seeing it inside of the multi-purpose center, and it's going to be on the 3D. As you enter the capture site multimedia center, you're going to be seeing that car, and you're going to be listening to Madiba when he was stopped there, when he spoke to the people that arrested him, and it's going to be mind-boggling. We're very excited about this project.
I've got goosebumps as you're actually talking about it, and we can see the car. There it is. It's on the screen, and our viewers can also see it. So that's the replica of the Austin Westminster vehicle that Madiba was traveling in with Cecil Williams. Madiba was acting as a chauffeur at the time, and he recounts that moment when he was actually arrested quite poignantly in his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. How closely related is this race to the growth of the museum here at the capture site?
We're wanting to make the capture site a place where people can relate to, a place where people know where it all started, but also where what happened, because Nelson Mandela, when he got arrested here, he had just been to Groundville, to Inkosi Albert Luthuli, and he had just reported to him how the struggle was continuing in South Africa. And as he was going back to Johannesburg, before he got captured here, he stopped at Manai Hall at Timbali. That's where our 42-kilometer race starts. And that hall is also going to have a massive development, and the people of Mbala are going to be benefiting from that. We're going to be changing the facelift of that area where he made his last speech. And from there, because the special branch people that were following him followed him from after he addressed the people here until they cornered him in this corner here at this capture site. So we're going to be taking all that in the multimedia center, at the multi-purpose center there. And we are also going to be having music. We're going to be having communities coming here for community services centers. We're going to be having rural communities. We're going to be having young artists who are going to be having, we're going to have amphitheater here. We're going to have we have a conference center that we are revamping. So we want this to be a place of people, but we also want this not just to be a place that we are showcasing to grow our small towns, but also to put our province on the map.
And everybody gets a deeper appreciation of that moment and of the apartheid struggle when they actually come here. I know that many people now associate the magnificent Marco Cianfinelli sculpture behind me. They're associated with the race. So I certainly think that many South Africans get closer to that capture on the 5th of August 1962 thanks to the race. And I suppose it's events like this that are just the gateway to opening people's minds to those very important historical events.
Oh, definitely. As you could see from the numbers, the whole of the Midlands Meander is fully booked. In fact, people have got to sort accommodation as far as Durban in Pinetown, as far as halfway in Durban for accommodation. So it's really growing massively. We're even now thinking about 10 years' time how this place is going to look like. We bought the site in the neighboring site. That's why 10 years ago we bought this site as the Department of Culture to make this development, and we're hoping that more investments is going to be coming along the site and it's going to be creating jobs. But not only that, this sculpture has been traveling around the world. As I'm talking to you, in July, when we had Obama, when he was doing the Mandela lecture in United Kingdom, our famous couple, Prince Harry and his new wife, unveiled this sculpture traveling in the United Kingdom. Yes.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it's been traveling all over from United Kingdom. It has just been to Paris, traveling there. So it goes around in all countries. In fact, during the BRICS, Brazil said to South Africa, we want this to be in Brazil. So you can see how much this is growing and how
this
much
exact sculpture has been traveling.
Yes.
These different poles, these 50 different poles.
Yes.
Wow.
It's been traveling around the world. And many countries, as I say, the last BRICS, Brazil saw and they said, can we have this in Brazil?
Wonderful.
And it's a great moment for South Africa, but it's also a great moment for KwaZulu-Natal to be in this map.
MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs here in KZN. MEC Nomusa Dube Ngube chatting to us. It is, of course, her department that are integral in making this event happen. Thank you so much for your time here on SABC
so
Sports Broadcast.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Time now to return to our commentators.
Well, thank you very much, Phelan Kirtley. So much history indeed, reminding us of the 5th of August 1962 when Madiba was arrested by the apartheid police in Howick on the very spot that the race finishes, which is now referred to as the capture site. And that famous statue that we hear has been going all around the world is just behind the finish line, just alongside the finish line. But there are approximately 24,000 athletes that have registered for this year's marathon, making it the largest edition. The Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs would like to commend all athletes who heeded a call to participate in this year's marathon, which coincides with centenary celebrations of the world icon and freedom fighter Mama Albertina Sisulu. We go to a quick break. When we come back, more from the women's race of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon.
Not just wounds, now Mom trusts Dettol for your skin too. The new skin-friendly Dettol Aloe Vera for bathing with the gentleness of aloe vera and the power of Dettol. It's gentle for everyday use and protects from 100 illness-causing germs. That's why moms want to be Dettol sure.
Heaviness and the burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn, so you can keep on living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
When it comes to your dry skin or eczema, trust E45. It's suitable for the whole family. E45's clinically proven formula creates an effective barrier that helps repair and protect even eczema-prone skin. E45 for healthy feeling skin.
Once, a dark forest of dirt took hold of a beautiful palace. Fortunately, the princess returned from her quest with new Handy Andy Cream. Its formulation with millions of microcrystals banished 100% of the toughest dirt more easily and left the palace shining beautifully. New Handy Andy Cream, always a beautiful ending.
Traditional aerosols contain a lot of water, which eventually falls down and spoils the experience. Introducing Airwick Pure with 9 times more fragrance and no added water. So you can experience great fragrance with no wet spray. Airwick Pure, just fragrance, no wet spray.
What's that gorgeous fragrance I can smell all over you?
Oh, that's just me, dear.
Oh yes, she's been washed in New Comfort. New Comfort? You mean I could smell just like her?
New Comfort, long-lasting freshness that brings your clothes to life.
Welcome back to live coverage of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon, live on SABC Sport on 2. So much excitement regarding the win for Yenesu, the Ethiopian victory in the men's race and the women's race. Lois Chebet of Kenya, the victor. But indeed, our winners have been found. Let us head now to something of a slightly different nature, in the sense that we've mentioned this is so much more than simply a marathon. It's a 2-day festival of activities. But let's get a little insight into the VIP walk, the 5-kilometer walk.
For us today is special because it's the 100-year celebration of his birth, the centenary celebration. So all of us have to take a leaf from his life and find a way that we can assist and work together, assist communities and show Ubuntu to everyone, love one another, work together, fight for a non-racial South Africa where there's equality of all genders and everyone working together and build a strong nation. So today is exciting because it's a day where we celebrate Madiba, and and it's just nice to feel that you are there with the spirit of Madiba. And so we're looking forward to the walk for us and others, the run. And so the whole marathon is the fun of the day, but it's all about celebrating a new South African nation.
We've been sponsoring this event now for about 4 or 5 years. We cannot believe how it's grown. It just brings people together. There's 25,000 people running today, and it's all in the spirit of Madiba. It doesn't matter who wins. It's just an opportunity to be together, to live in his legacy. And as Minister Mkhize says, this is a 100-year celebration, so it's a very, very special day.
You have to be part of this excitement that started very humble beginnings to where we are today, where we have about 21,000 people that are participating in this race during this weekend, and we're very humbled that we're walking on the footsteps of the giants like the Nelson Mandela, our Mama Sisulu, and a lot of other struggle icons who walked before us for this country to be what it is today.
Today we're doing the Mandela Marathon. It's a special day. We must know we're doing it for South Africa. We're doing it for all the people of our country to work together, to love one another. And from now on, we must make every day Mandela Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a wonderful day. The weather has been great. Started in the morning, quite cold, around 5:30, and to be here within a very short span of time, I'm quite excited. Having not had time to practice with all the work presses, big up to all the athletes. This is really a wonderful race. So the atmosphere, people are wonderful out there. camaraderie, families, and everybody. Thank you very much.
Because I love running, because I just want to run, and I like things, and I like running.
It was worth the while. For us, it was a relaxed walk, but very soon we started seeing the 10-kilometer runners running, briskly past us. But the spirit is good. Everybody jovial. I think that's the main reason why I love it, because you can enjoy, but you can also just, like the spirit around us, where everybody is just excited to be part of the occasion. The president runs every day. I'm trying to follow behind him, but I think everybody must get used to this culture of walking, because it's good, healthy lifestyle, and I think it's something we must encourage.
There certainly were many, many dignitaries that took part in the VIP race earlier on today. Just one of the many festivities around the Mandela Day Marathon. Inside studio, I'm joined by Athletics South Africa President, Mr. Alex Kosana. Good. We saw in the morning time. Sure, we've been up for such a long time. I thought it was afternoon already. Good morning and welcome to SABC Sports Live Broadcast.
And good morning to you and your listeners. Thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to have you once more time here.
Yes, it is your home province, and once again, KZN has been putting their best foot forward, welcoming people from all over the country for this wonderful event.
I wish I was not coming from KwaZulu-Natal, because I was going to say that KwaZulu-Natal is known in terms of conferencing and sporting events. They put the best of the best in the country and in the continent and the world.
I spoke to your colleague, Mr. Selo Mokoena, who is the president of KwaZulu-Natal Athletics yesterday, and we were chatting about some of those athletes that are going to win, and he said, no, we are very hospitable people here in KZN, but we like to keep the prizes here at home.
Absolutely. It's the best thing is to organize and win, rather than to organize and not win.
But President, we haven't seen a South African winner, truthfully speaking, here at the Mandela Day Marathon, winning both the men's and women's race since 2014, when we had Tobani and Ervet on the top spots on the podium. Why is that?
Well, it means the coaches and their managers are not focusing their preparations towards this event. They prepare for other events. Maybe they prepare for Two Oceans, they prepare for Comrades, they prepare for other things. Maybe it's a question of this event is too close to other events that are taking place that are faster, that has got maybe other incentives. But I think another factor may be that some of our athletes, they prefer to train for faster events, and this event is hilly. As you can see, it's the most difficult marathon in South Africa. And I'm sure that some of them, they're shying away from that. But I think since you have asked this question, I'm going to give the mandate to say that next year, the winner of this race from the men's section should not come from Lesotho or Kenya or Ethiopia. It must be a South African, and it is going to happen. I'll be talking to all the coaches that are preparing these athletes and the managers. In fact, they are listening to what we are saying.
Okay, so the mandate is out there from Athletics South Africa President, Mr. Alex Kosana. You must be quite heartened, though, by the amount of youngsters that you've seen taking part in the 10-kilometer race today and the youth run. Over 2,000 youngsters were doing 5 kilometers yesterday.
What else can we expect? It's a great name, Mandela. And that's the way that people will remember him. They want to be associated with his name, with any event. And I'm sure even if you can put another event tomorrow, you will have as many people as you would have seen here. Even if you can put 500 meters and you call it Nelson Mandela 500 meters, the little ones, they will come in numbers. If it was not the case of limitations in terms of disaster management and all that, you would have seen more than 100,000 people. And I'm sure this is what the organizers need to look at, extend this and start early and finish late, like the New York Marathon, open the roads right up to 12 hours, so that all forms of abilities can be able to participate without running. They can walk the 42 and all that.
Let's speak a little bit about athletics on a broader scale, and the next couple of weeks are actually quite busy. We've got a team led by 3-time Comrades Marathon champion Bongmusa Mthembu going to the World 100 Kilometer Championships, and then we've also got an Africa team where we've got 20 different South Africans that make up the Africa team participating at the Continental Cup. There's lots going on at the moment, especially where South African athletes are involved.
Yes, it's a lot that is going on, and a lot has been going on over the past 2-3 months. We have sent the largest number ever in the history of Athletics South Africa. Since Athletics South Africa was established, it was the largest number. Going to Nigeria, Asaba, going to Algeria for the youth Olympics of Africa, going to all over the place. Now we have got 20 athletes that are going to represent South Africa in the Continental Cup. It used to be the World Cup. You remember in 1997, we hosted one of the legs in Johannesburg, and 20 of our finest athletes forms part of the African team, and I'm pleased to say that I will be part of that team as the deputy chief, the mission of the African team appointed by the CAA. But apart from that, Mthembu will be taking the athletes, the best of this country, to the World 100 kilometer, just 9 point something kilometers more than Comrades Marathon. and it's taking place in Czech Republic in Ostrava, and we are certain that Mthembu is gunning for the second place or even the top place to be the world champion in the 100 meters with his colleagues. I'm told, I've spoken to his coach this morning, and a few weeks ago they started their preparation. They are in a tip-top condition. They are going to that summer. They have been doing hills, they've been doing the flats, the speeds and all that, and we expect the best of the best, and we're sending them for one thing only, to fly the flag of the Republic of South Africa. And they must not drop that flag. That flag is bigger than me, it's bigger than them, but they must fly it amongst the nations of the world.
President Skosana, what is Athletics South Africa doing to ensure that all the good athletic stories that we're enjoying currently will continue and will increase in the years to come?
Well, that question is similar to whether do we have the next Caster, do we have the next Simbini, do we have the next weight and all that. The answer to that is simple. Look at what our youth athletes, 15 to 17, 18 years old, what they did in Algeria. 13 gold medals came to South Africa, and more medals than any other came to South Africa. And those youth athletes are going to represent Africa at the IOC Youth Olympics. You remember in 2014 we came back with 1 gold medal. This time I promise we'll come back with more. So we have balanced everything. We have just been in Finland, in Tampere, for the World Junior Championships. In 2016 we came with 3 silver medals. This time around we came with 3 gold medals and 1 bronze, taking us from number 22 to number 6 in the world. So I'm saying our youth, our juniors and our seniors, we have got 15 to 20 years of athletes that will represent this country, flying the flag, winning Olympic medals, winning World Championships medal where it matters most, at the IAAF Championships. And we are going down now to start with the 6-year-olds. And people don't believe me this when I say this. I was saying this in Parliament. The 6-year-olds and the 10-year-olds, you give them 10 to 15 years. If they are 10, in 15 years they will be 25 involved in athletics. They will be the Olympic champions. And I'm saying when all of us, when Skosana will no longer be there, those athletes will be flying the flag and winning the medals. That's what you call development. Feed from the bottom. Introduce the young people where it matters most. And we call upon parents, we call upon teachers to join us in taking their children to the coaches. But we know that the number of coaches are limited. We are having the coaches workshop in Bloemfontein in October, where we'll train massive numbers of people, and that will go down to the provinces. We'll even train the trainer so that they can train the young people and the parents, the mothers, so that they can introduce the things. There are things that you cannot be able to introduce to a person who's 15 years old. They must be introduced at 6 years and at 10 years. At 15 is too late.
So we're going to have a whole host of 60-meter sprint races for our youngsters, our 6-year-olds that are in grade 1 across the country. I'd love to go to those athletics meets. President of Athletics South Africa, Mr. Alex Skosana, thank you so much for chatting to us here on the program. And let's go through to Oli Zono. She is at the finish line and she's got a GoPro with her. She's been capturing the other side of the Mandela Day Marathon in a different way, from quite a unique angle. So let's go and find out what's the latest with her. Oli?
Absolutely, Valen. We are showing the marathon in 360. It is innovative, and that is what the SABC is known for. Now, here is where the athletes just go through to celebrate the medal that they've just received. And I've got 3 of those athletes here. Siqala ngawe ke baba, uyasho ukuthi eyesibili le iNelson Mandela i42K. Uzizwa kanjani namhlanje ukuthi uqedile?
Ngizizwa kahle impela. Ngiphile kahle. Ngijabula kakhulu futhi.
Yeah, baba. Awukusitshela ukuthi how did you find the race? Ubona ukuthi bokunzima kuphi, bokulula ngakuphi?
Kube nzima emkanseni uma ngabe senyuka iMandela. Yebo.
Yeah. Okay, manje kulonyaka lozayo mawubheka ubuya.
Ngizobuya futhi.
Awukusitshela nje phakathi kwami nawe iminyaka ithini?
Iminyaka ngino-60 manje. Kusho ukuthi ukugijima ngiqale ngo-76.
No, siyakubongela kakhulu. 60 years of age. This is the second 42 that he has done. And these ladies really captured me because they were now taking selfies. This was a moment they wanted to remember. Let's talk about your 21K. How did you find it today?
Yo beumnandi kakhulu owokuqala Nelson Mandela kade ngangifisa ukuyingenela so ngijabula kakhulu ukuyiqeda ngajabula
manje ungakhona ukuthi ungiphe leyo medal nami phela ngizotshengisa abanye ukuthi nami ngijima
ngisebenzele kakhulu
akekho nje ofuna this medal. Now we are on 360. I know there are people at home you want to thank who have helped you to get to this place.
Okay, I'd like to thank Spa. Oh, Shame has been coaching me, telling me ukuthi kufanele ngenze kanjani. Ngiyabonga kakhulu and ngibonga kakhulu nje ekhaya ke my family. They've been so supportive. Thank you so much.
That is brilliant. Young and old crossing through the finish line here at the capture site. It truly is the triumph of the human spirit. Let's quickly go to an ad break, and when we do come back, we're still continuing with the Nelson Mandela Day Marathon.
What's that gorgeous fragrance I can smell all over you?
Oh, that's just me, dear.
Oh, yes. She's been washed in New Comfort. New Comfort? You mean I could smell just like her?
New Comfort. Long-lasting freshness that brings your clothes to life.
My wife is also expecting.
I'm not pregnant.
There are comparison don'ts and comparison do's. Hippo.co.za instantly sources quotes from a range of car insurance brands. SMS Hippo to 45579.
No matter when your journey starts, we're with you all the way. Introducing Volkswagen for Life. From maintenance and new genuine parts to roadside assist and services.
How can I play with bigger boys? If I'm afraid of little scratches, right?
But I know that as he learns to be brave, he'll face even more germs and the risk of infection.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection, because Dettol kills 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's, while stocks last.
Heartburn and indigestion can be tricky. If you eat too much or food that's too spicy or greasy, they could always be around the corner. When they come, be prepared with Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 2 times longer than antacids. Gaviscon Double Action. Many causes, one solution.
How'd you tweak your back, Brie?
I was weightlifting, bro.
Whether you hurt your back working up a sweat or elsewhere, Transact will sort it out for up to 12 hours. Transact, for however you hurt your back.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's, while stocks last.
Start up without fearing unexpected costs with Standard Bank's Biz Launch account. Get 5 ATM deposits, free online and cell phone banking and electronic account payments for just R191.67 a month.
You can suffer from many different types of pain. Nurofen knows this, which is why it targets the source of your pain and works with your body to provide relief for up to 8 hours. Ask your pharmacist about Nurofen for targeted relief from pain for up to 8 hours.
Welcome back to live coverage of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. Those the very sophisticated trucks that include all sorts of technology, high-definition cameras that are stored in the trucks, to all sorts of mixing equipment and editing equipment and satellite links that allow us to bring you these pictures from all the way out on the route, from the helicopter shots to those on the bike, to those that are still at the finish line. We'll be watching athletes cross the finish line in a short while. But this Mandela Day Marathon, more than simply a 42.2 kilometer race, although that was won respectively by Yenesu, the men's race, and Jebet of Kenya in the women's race. But let's take a quick look at something that happened yesterday, a youth run.
Few things make the life of a parent more rewarding or sweet than successful children. It's one of many Madiba quotes about his love for children. And today's youth run, which was part of the Saturday festivities of the Mandela Day Marathon, was to celebrate Mandela's love of children. We had hundreds of children from the Pietermaritzburg, Umgungundlovu district area coming to take part in the run. It was 5 kilometers. There were lots of youngsters out on the road enjoying the afternoon sun. It was absolutely brilliant to see the winner come from none other than South African athletics legend William Tolo's athletics club. Not only from his athletics club, but it was his very own son. It was another successful day, another successful youth run, showing that the baton being handed over to the next generation of athletes is certainly in good health. Selma Kwena is the president of KwaZulu-Natal Athletics. We've just had the youth run for the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. And as the body that looks after the development of the sport in this province, you must be extremely proud of the hundreds of children that came out to compete.
Yes, Valen, we are beyond proud. We are very ecstatic about the developments and what we've seen this morning, because youth development is the future of athletics. It's our kindergarten, our investment. In fact, to us today with the youth run, it's the main course. Tomorrow, the 42 kilometers is just the dessert, because the people who will be looking and be the future bright stars of the sport of athletics are those we saw running today. And I think even Tata himself, the icon in whose name we're celebrating today, would have been very proud to be part of this. And it's an honor for us, and it's a privilege to be part of this wonderful day.
And KwaZulu-Natal Athletics is really keeping it in the province. The winner of today's race, Ndumiseni, is William Tolo's son.
We always say that in KZN, we are very hospitable. The province, beautiful scenery, everything else. We invite people throughout the country, throughout the world, across continents to come and celebrate with us. But when it comes to winning, we already leave everything but back here in KZN. Whether it's Comrades Marathon or it's a youth run or it's tomorrow, everything must be left here, celebrate, and we'll invite them again to come and celebrate with us this beautiful province and a wonderful day like this.
After the talent that you saw taking part in the youth run, do you believe that these will be our winners of the future Mandela Day Marathon over 42.2 kilometers or even the half marathon?
Lilian, I think it's not only the future of the country, it's the future of the sport of athletics in the whole world. People we saw today, youngsters we saw today, some of them is just raw talent. They do not have any specific coaches or trainers or people who advise them. You see them run and you can spot their talent. And that's where we cultivate them, we attach them to coaches. And we think in the next 5 to 10 years or so, they'll be breaking world records. So the whole rest of the world will be looking to South Africa for the future of the sport. And this is what we're doing today.
One of the most endearing photos when it comes to athletics in recent years is seeing William Tolo embrace Bongusa Mthembu on the finish line. And it's not only the champion from Bulwer that he trains, but he trains his very own son, Mdumazane, who today won the youth run here at the Mandela Day Marathon. Congratulations. How was it out there?
It was fun. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the pace. Also, I see that I'm getting speed. So some prizes coming soon.
You're always a proud coach, Willie, but obviously today must have been much more of a proud moment, being your son coming first across the finish line.
Yeah, you know, we have been working very hard, and he's doing very well. I'm so happy that he won his first event today. Mr. Nelson Mandela, he was a person that he loved the young athletes. So to grooming those young athletes, I'm feeling very happy, and I hope in one day we'll see a champion coming from the Mandela Youth Run.
Dimakatsa was the first youngster across the line when it comes to the ladies for the Mandela Day Marathon Youth Run, completing 5 kilometers, the quickest amongst all of the girls. Congratulations. How do you feel about winning? Tell me about the run. What happened during the race? What does Nelson Mandela mean to you?
Ufana nobaba wami uMandela usiza izinto eziningi.
Mandela Day Marathon, keep running the legacy. Well, I tell you what, how is that for a triumph for the Mtolo bloodline runs strong? Wow, William Tolo, his offspring now also becoming champions in their own right. This is exciting times. That said, there's been so much action happening at the Mandela Day Marathon. Bear in mind, there are a number of races that happen throughout the race day weekend. That was highlights of yesterday's youth run. There are several races that go on race day of the 42.2 kilometer race, the marathon itself. There's a half marathon earlier today, a 10 kilometer peace run. There's also a VIP walk, and we brought you highlights of that as well. But the 10 kilometers started at Howick Sports Field along the route of both the half marathon and the marathon itself. But in terms of finish, there were finish lines for the 10. There were various victors in the 10, half and 42 kilometer. 10,000 rand for the victors in the 10 kilometer race, 20,000 for victors in the half marathon, and indeed in the marathon itself, an opportunity for 100,000 rand. We'll go to a quick break. When we come back, more from Mandela Day Marathon.
For anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
Imagine a world without boundaries. A world of power without resistance or inhibitions. A world of expression with no limits, no barriers, and no deposit. Join the world of Voorsprong before the end of September, and we'll pay the deposit on your new Audi A4 or A5.
Suffer from many different types of pain. Nurofen knows this, which is why it targets the source of your pain and works with your body to provide relief for up to 8 hours. Ask your pharmacist about Nurofen for targeted relief from pain for up to 8 hours.
There are 3 kinds of moms. The paranoid mom. No, it's hot and you'll get dirty. The cautious mom. And and the Dettol Mom. A Dettol Mom worries less and loves more. She trusts Dettol to clean dirt and protect her family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Don't be any mom, be a Dettol Mom.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
Hi, Kinale Wumpila, one of the finalists from last year's season of One Day Leader. After the show, I learned how to network more, how to put myself out there more, and how to really immerse myself in all my passions. And today, I'm a radio host on Tshwane FM. And I urge you out there, if you're sitting there, you have ideas, you want your voice to be heard, please apply for this season, and you could be one of us one day.
matšatšinyana ka fridging bona fela tšhakala ka gohle mo
ska tshwenyega ge nka re kwa hlatswega ka pijana ka sunlight o ka re
aowa mare diplastiki mo
he re na le sunlight lemon 100 bjale makhura ga se selo le mo plastiking
sunlight lemon 100 makhura ga se selo le mo plastiking.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM Lewin, and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
Once, a dark forest of dirt took hold of a beautiful palace. Fortunately, the princess returned from her quest with new Handy Andy Cream. Its formulation with millions of microcrystals banished 100% of the toughest dirt more easily and left the palace shining beautifully. New Handy Andy Cream, always a beautiful ending.
Suffering from back pain? Apply Voltaren ML Gel. Unlike heat rubs that work on the skin surface, Voltaren ML Gel is a clinically proven anti-inflammatory medicine which penetrates through the skin. It relieves pain, treats inflammation, and speeds healing. Voltaren ML Gel, the world's #1 medicated gel.
When there's only time for a quick wash, Omo Auto removes tough stains in just a quick wash, so you can spend less time washing and more time living. With Omo Auto, just a quick wash is enough.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with SABC2 and with SABC Sport for the live broadcast of the 7th running of the Mandela Day Marathon, a race that was born out of the need to remember the legacy of the great statement, Utata Nelson Mandela. Now, his grandson, Nkosi Zwelivelile Mandela, he doesn't only represent the family, but Nkosi also partakes in the races. In 2016, you did the cycle race on the Saturday, you did the 10K on the Sunday. Today, you're with your entire family doing the 10 as well as the VIP race. Good afternoon to you and welcome on to SABC Sport platforms. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here on SABC Sport.
Tell us why it's important for you not only to represent the family here at this race, but also to partake and be amongst all of the people that are coming to celebrate the legacy of your grandfather.
Well, for us as a family and a country, this is a special year where we are honoring the life and legacy of our founding father of this nascent democracy and our global icon, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who I had the honor of calling my grandfather, Utatomkhulu. And as South Africa and Africa and the global community celebrates this global icon, we as a family, in particular the people of KwaZulu-Natal, in Mkungundlovu District Municipality, in Pietermaritzburg, Johannesburg felt it necessary that we honor him in the Mandela Day Marathon, which was actually initiated in 2012. And in this centennial year, it's been a record-breaking 24,000 participants that have come out to celebrate Madiba's legacy, his ideals and his principles. And we as a family felt necessary that we come out, all of us. I had my grandmother here who's turning 85 tomorrow, Anna Mosetle. I had my mother here also who were participating in the 5-kilometer run with my wife, Nodiala. But I participated in the 10-kilometer run with my wife, Nosegeni, who was heavily pregnant, together with my son, Mandela. And it was a really wonderful occasion to see people from all walks of lives coming to be participating in this race in honor of Madiba's legacy.
We actually see you and your family crossing the finish line. You are having a great time. So you're getting your son involved in this athletics thing from quite young. Is he going to be an athlete?
Absolutely. I mean, for him, it's his second race. He started last year. He was really an infant at the time. Now he's a toddler. And he's actually was able to stay awake for the entire 8 kilometers, sitting on my shoulders. But he really got the best of it at about 2 kilometers left, and he fell asleep, so I had to put him down on the stroller. But he truly enjoys it. We as a family love this occasion where South Africans, Africans, and people from the global community come to honor Madiba. We have had over 40 countries come together in this marathon to participate. And I think for us, what is important is not just to have it as a competitive sport, but it should be a developmental sport where we are able to groom young people to be able to be the future winners of these races and the bigger races that are held globally, like the London Marathon, Boston Marathon, and the New York Marathon. We want to compete at the best level that the world has to offer. And yesterday, being here at the capture site and seeing the work that the KwaZulu Cycling Developmental Training Institute is doing with the young peoples was inspiring and instilling hope that we are indeed in the right track, ensuring that young people are getting themselves equipped and are getting themselves ready to be able to participate in world events.
You had quite a busy day yesterday, because not only did you come to the capture site to enjoy some of the festivities of yesterday's activities, but you're also at the Edendale Hospital. And I suppose this is something that's quite relevant for you now and your young immediate family, with the toddler and your wife being heavily pregnant. They refurbished the children's ward at the Edendale Hospital, and you were there for that grand opening yesterday. This is something that's really important, because it expresses not only the importance of children, but also in line with your grandfather's, what he felt about young children being the future of the country.
Well, what is most important for me about this, it talks to the founding principles of what this marathon was initiated on. When the Edendale Athletics Club and the Hammersdale Athletics Club came over to Mvezo to present this concept, they said they wanted a marathon that would uplift the social status of our communities, particularly in rural areas. And therefore, to be able to see places like Edendale Hospital able to benefit from the marathon's contribution from our sponsor, APSA, we were able to fully refurbish the pediatric ward for the children's ward in the hospital. And that has been a significant contribution from APSA. But it talks to Madiba's legacy. You know, Madiba loved children. He had a huge passion for children, because he regarded children to be the future leaders of our country and the continent and the world. And therefore, he was very sincere in how we treat our children. And what APSA has done together with the Lion Match Company, they have ensured that they hold on to Madiba's principles and ideals, and we are indeed living the legacy. As you know, July 18 was coined by the United Nations as the International Nelson Mandela Day for us to do good in the communities we come from. And this Mandela Day Marathon is ensuring that Madiba's legacy lives on, and we are able to have an impact on the society that we come from. And the beneficiaries have been the children of this region.
Nkosi, would your grandfather have been proud of what we see here today at the capture site?
Absolutely. I think one thing that my grandfather would be smiling about today is the unity of our people. What this marathon illustrates is not just the unity of South Africans, but the unity of Africans and the global community. Coming in one to participate and celebrate a legacy of one of the 21st century best statesmen would be really a pleasing emotion to my grandfather. And I think we all have to be proud of what we've been able to achieve here as the people of KwaZulu-Natal, as South Africans, and as all the participants that came up here. I mean, I've been saying to everyone, we are sitting at 24,000 participants. In the next 5 years, we will see this event growing to almost double the size at about 40,000 participants. But it is Africa's toughest race, it is said. And I think what has drawn the attention to this race is that it's a family event, even though it's challenging to the runners. But we are inviting the grandparents, the parents to come with their children to have fun and enjoy celebrating Madiba's legacy with us.
Well, you just have to look at the top 5 of both the men's and women's elite field, and you look at the United Nations of athletics in Africa. Nkosi Zwelivelile, Mandela, thank you so much for coming in. Nkosi Baba.
Nkosazana, it's good to always be with you on SABC Sport. Thank you.
Thank you so much. He's got to rush off now to go and hand over the prizes to the winners. That's coming up on this live broadcast when we return.
How can I play with bigger boys if I'm afraid of little scratches, right?
But I know that as he learns to be brave, he'll face even more germs and the risk of infection.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection, because Dettol kills 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Buy one, get one free on clearance items on brands like Nike, Adidas, TM and Puma. Buy one, get one free. Only at Edgar's while stocks last.
Welcome back to live coverage of the 2018 Mandela Day Marathon. Excitement with the respective winners in the 10, 21 and full marathon distances of the 2018 edition. The 7th edition of the marathon, a tribute to the triumph of the human spirit. But we're celebrating a man who is celebrating a centenary year. But let's find out a little more about the history of Madiba in this part of the world.
Was arrested outside Howick on the 5th of August 1962 on charges of leaving the country without a passport and calling on workers to strike. What followed was 27 years behind bars. His last moments were recounted in his autobiography Long Walk to Freedom. Mandela, in his disguise as a chauffeur, had been driving with fellow activist Cecil Williams from KwaZulu-Natal to Gauteng.
Cecil and I were engrossed in discussions of sabotage plans as we passed through Howick, 20 miles northwest of Pietermaritzburg. At Sadara, a small town just past Howick, I noticed a Ford V8 filled with white men shoot past us on the right. I knew in that instant that my life on the run was over. My 17 months of freedom were about to end. The policeman that stopped them and subsequently arrested the pair